go.
All right.
Let's go.
Got Eli and Lucas from Get to the Chopper.
That's us.
That's it. Thanks
Now,
for having us, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I like to get people from different genres and like different kinds of bands and stuff, just to keep people interested.
Sure. Different strokes, different folks, right?
Yeah.
I bet you get all sorts of types doing that.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, I had a guy come on and he did the whole episode in a superhero costume, like stating character and everything. Yeah, it was Captain Sarcasmo.
Oh, okay.
That was a fun episode.
I'll have to check that one out.
Yeah, that's
that
awesome.
That was a super long one too. It's like 3.5 hours.
Wow.
But he stayed in character the whole time. It's
Wow.
like, I was like grilling him on his backstory and stuff. It was pretty funny.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it was wild. But the Phoenix scene is just so weird,
It's very there's just so much variety. It's very different. And so, yeah, it feels a little jarring sometimes at shows because of the differences in all the different bands, right? So you have like some, hardcore metal, death metal, melodic, punk, gutter punk, hip hop, just so many different influences, just straight up classic rock. Like there's just...
I mean, our first show went from, and there was a reason for it, but still it went from it went from hip hop to Americana to us. It was whiplash from set to set, but it's part of what made it fun.
Yeah. Yeah, I was telling you before, my buddies from Innate One, the last time I saw you guys play at the Palo Verde Lounge, they were on the set too. It was like, they tried to make it like a punk and death metal show. So the first two bands were like punk, and then the next two bands were like Innate One, which is, it's not really death metal, but super fucking loud.
Yeah.
Heavy, dude. They're
those guys rip, man. We've been talking to them for a long time on socials and stuff, and we finally had an opportunity to play with them, and man, what a great...
Like blown away, man. That for that kind of metal, especially for a 3-piece, for those guys to sound like their record live, like, I don't know, man, it just blew me away. Especially in a place like Palo Verde, where it's crappy little PA and 12 square feet,
tiny little room. But yeah, that band is great, so good.
Yeah, that show kind of upset me a little bit, honestly, because I went out in a gorilla costume for one of their songs.
Oh yeah,
that was me. Okay. I fucking tied my hair back and I put the gorilla mask on. I was out there like, but everyone was there to see the punk bands.
Yeah,
so it's not like the energy was super high or anything. I was out there just alone. It's like, fuck. Oh well. Yeah. And halfway through the song, I think Dan like tripped on one of the power strips and like knocked out half the audio. It's like, God.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
damn
I
it,
remember that. That's one of the things playing there is it's so tight. I'm a big dude. I take up a lot of space. I'm like, I don't feel like I can even turn or I'm going to knock something over.
Yeah,
so I feel really rigid.
They only had 3 people. You guys have 4, right? Yeah. So you're up there just...
Well, and it's crazy because, we've done a couple shows there, and there's a couple bands that had 5 people, and so it's like...
Yeah.
The singers was like, basically in the crowd pit area, and then the rest of the band is all in the back and just hanging out and doing their thing. But
that was the last band that night too, Vexum, the touring band. They had 5 people too. They had 2 guitarists, a bassist, vocals. Those guys were... I don't know, those guys were heavy too, but they were packed up there.
The next show we played with this hardcore band out of Colorado called Never and Never. They were awesome, but they knew the way to do it. They were running wireless, and they were just all over that place. I mean, I don't think they stayed in that little box area. They just ran around like crazy people, and it was fun. That was cool. It's like, oh, maybe we need to research wireless units. So
I was just talking about that with the guys from Innate One actually, and wireless is like there now. It's really good now. Like it used to have like some latency issues or connectivity issues or whatever, but nowadays wireless units are pretty damn good.
Yeah, that whole technology has really come a long way, not just with instruments, but microphones as well, and just some of the newer products that are out there are phenomenal. But the band from Grand Junction, Never Endeavor, great band. There's a lot of we play a lot of shows with a lot of different style bands, and there's some really good bands in the Valley that we've come across lately, and it's been great. And then there's a lot of guys in bands, and they're young. But for us, I think it's kind of like a time machine looking back at where we were 25 years ago, being young and, full of grit and energy and, trying to put music projects together. So it's challenging, I think, because it's weird, right? In, today's world, there's so many things that occupy time, right? And like, whether it's your phone or video games or entertainment of some kind, right? And so it's different, I think, nowadays than it was, 25, 30 years ago when people go out to see live music, right? So for us, just that there's a scene and that people are coming out to shows and stuff is, gives us hope that, the art will still exist, right? And it's still being made.
Yeah, I mean, I think live music is just a completely different experience than just listening to music.
Sure.
Watching people play it live. It's like impressive already just in its own, like, just, action, like the physicality of it's pretty impressive. And then like the experience of having it so loud with other people,
right?
And you're all in the same room, like it's way more intense than just
connection to it.
Yeah,
like an electricity almost, right?
Yeah, you could play it as loud as you want in your apartment, but it's never going to be the same. Like,
yeah, and I mean, there's crowd energy, right? And sometimes like you're feeling like a reciprocation, right? I'm bringing energy and these songs that we've written and this, like, I guess ultimately the goal is, right, you want to, for us, we want to have some kind of significance, right? There's something in the song, whether it's the music or it's the theme or it's the lyrics or something that has somebody have a positive reaction, right? And when you're feeling that and it's coming back and forth, right, it's a really great feeling. And it's also something where we feed on that energy to be more animated and play louder and
Yeah, a good example of that is I just recently went to like a grindcore show.
Sure.
And I cannot listen to grindcore with headphones. I can't do it, dude. It sounds like shit. But like you go to a grindcore show live and it's like, dude, this is fucking sick.
You feel it. I've never been to one, but I could see that.
Yeah, grindcore shows live, like I highly recommend it. But like listening to it on your headphones, like whatever. Like unless you're like a really big fan of that shit, like
I'll tell you, man, in my youth, I was, really into punk, but I was like way into ska, right? And this is the late 90s. And so I was into all these different ska bands and, listening to ska is one thing, but when you would go to a show, right? And mind you, like, the average ska band size is like 6 to 8 people, right? And so you just have, this unbelievable amount of energy, right? And then, obviously, the whole idea of pits, but, with ska shows, it was a lot of like skanking and dancing and, running in circles and doing all this kind of stuff. And so I remember that vividly, like, listening to the album is one thing, but you go to a show and it was just like so much movement, right? And just, those rooms, like, it was just hot and sweaty and you just got hundreds of people, right? Enjoying themselves and having a good time. And yeah, for sure. Big fan of live music and live shows. It's funny because, like, whenever I'm out, like, going places with my wife or kids or whatever, and even a street musician, like, I have to stop and just listen for a little bit. And they're like, "Come on, Dad, let's go." No, hold on. I'm whatever it is, whether it's somebody playing piano in an airport or somebody playing violin on the street. There's a guy, and anytime I go to concerts, like downtown, like, my family and I, we went to see Billie Eilish a while back, and we went to see Iron Maiden last year, and we also went to see Judas Priest.
I know
there's
who you're talking
this
about,
guy that plays a trumpet, and he just has a backing track, and he's out there playing Iron Maiden on trumpet or different, and he just has a case open and people throw in money or whatever. But I see that guy almost all the time at different shows, and he's just playing the trumpet, and I enjoy it. I think it's great.
Yeah, I used to go to a lot of sports games when I was a kid, like with my dad. And there was always a guy out there with like an alto saxophone, like a smaller saxophone, and he would just be playing like, whatever song was popular at the time.
Oh, that's cool.
Just like playing older songs and stuff like that. But yeah, that guy was always out there every time there was a game. It was pretty cool.
It's great. And for me, it's just, I don't know. I got bit by the music bug, I guess, probably when I was a teenager, and it just, for a long time, obviously, growing up for me, it was like, was into, like the pop music of the time. So this would have been like the early 90s. And then, started getting into more guitar centric style music. And then, of course, at that time, Metallica, the Black Album came out. And so that for me was like a huge influence, listening to that record. And I remember I bought that cassette and Red Hot Chili Peppers Blood Sex Magic at the same time.
Yeah.
And I had both those records on cassette, and my buddy and I, we would listen to those on repeat while skateboarding and doing different stuff. But I was just like totally into the whole Metallica thing. And then I got introduced, my dad got me into like listening to Hendrix and classic rock. And so then I really gravitated toward like, Hendrix and Led Zeppelin and, all those kind of, 60s bands. And I really was into the Beatles and stuff like that too. But then as I started playing guitar and learning more, then I really just sort of, got exposed to all kind of genres. And as a teenager, I think I was pretty opinionated in thinking like metal's the only kind of music or whatever. But, of course, growing up, right, you get into things like, country music and obviously 90s country was a big part of that, but I really got into like, Johnny Cash and
I like the older stuff.
Yeah, Johnny, and Willie Nelson's a big influence for me, and all of those guys, and Hank Williams Sr. and just a lot
Merle
of that.
Haggard.
Merle Haggard and George Jones.
Now you're talking, man.
Yeah. So like, that kind of stuff. But for me too, it was like, the psychedelic rock, and then, 80s new wave, and just 50s doo-wop. So, for me, I'm really like I really like all styles and all genres. I try everything. Not everything, suits my fancy, but yeah, definitely a music lover for sure.
I like really specific types of music.
Yeah.
I'm really picky with it.
Sure.
Like even metal. It's like there's certain types of metal I hate. Like I don't like metalcore.
See,
Like,
I do, but then
I'll
I
go
hear
to a
like
show.
black metal. I'm like, oh, I can't do it, man. It's,
I would take black metal over metalcore. Like I like the sad kind of somber feel to it, and then it gets all intense. Like
for me, it's the production value. It's why does it all sound like it's in a tin can? It drives me nuts.
Yeah, there's like some elitists that say you have to record in a storage container or whatever.
I've got two friends that are. We have two friends that are very much like that. You'll play a band like, I don't know, Ghost. They go, that's not metal. Gross. Like, all right, guys. Like, I don't know, I enjoy it.
Technically, Kiss is metal. So.
Right. Yeah, and it's and don't get me wrong. I mean, there in every genre, every style. I mean, there's certain songs and certain bands and stuff that like. There's a couple that I just can't. I can't get into it.
Dude, I find that like. I started on the classics, right? AC/DC and Led Zeppelin, and where I really got bit by the bug though was Black Sabbath. That like the track Black Sabbath by Black Sabbath. I'm like, well, this is scary. Like, what is this? And that, and I've very much stayed in that like doom stoner metal kind of like The Sword is one of my all-time favorite bands.
The Sword is sick.
Like
so good.
Anything with like fantasy elements, like I get in the Iron Maiden, all that kind of stuff. But I find the older I get, I find myself looking for something interesting. Like I want to hear something I haven't heard before.
Yeah.
And that can go down some weird rabbit holes for sure. Like, have you ever heard Igor?
It sounds familiar. It's probably popped up on my like shuffle.
IGORRR. It's I think French, but it's like death metal, but they throw like opera in there, and it's wild, dude. There's nothing like it. I hear it and go, wow, I don't know, it tickles a part of my brain where like I have to think about it, right?
Yeah, like Flesh God Apocalypse is one of those bands for me. Like,
I don't know them, but I'm going to look them
Flesh
up
God
now.
Apocalypse is this like I describe it as like this Italian opera metal.
Okay,
like,
all right.
It's so they do these, like the vocalist is crazy. He does these like high opera vocals through the songs, and they're just so loud and fast. It's just constant like noise. There are very few like slower, quieter parts. It's all just like like slamming on their instruments, but they have like a pianist, like a real pianist, and he like every album he has like a solo piano track, that he just does by
thrown
himself.
in there.
Yeah, just a piano solo. It's like for the whole track. It's always so good. But yeah, those guys are good. Flesh God Apocalypse. I try to see them every time they come to Phoenix. But
Heck yeah.
Yeah, his style, like he's really into that. Like for me, I'm pretty cookie cutter, man. Like, you know, when I hear stuff, I'm like, that's cool. It's really unique. And it's I don't know if it's weird because it's not safe for me, you know what I mean? Because it just is too experimental or whatever. But you know what's interesting? I will say this. My kids, they're all teenagers now, and they listen to a lot of really interesting stuff. Like my daughter really likes anime, so she listens to like a lot of Japanese like artists and stuff. And my son is really into like certain kind of like underground styles of hip hop and stuff, which is really unique and interesting. And so, yeah, I mean, there's always, you know, things coming out that are unique and interesting. But I find myself always going back to the classics, right? I'm a big Hendrix guy. So like, you know, I often will go back and listen to Jimmy and, you know, some of the stuff that he was doing. And, you know, like I said, I like ska and punk. So I'm, you know, constantly kind of jumping around with that. And I really like 80s glam rock. So I like am constantly, and I know I get it, right? Yeah. It's not for everyone, right? Yeah. But like, you know, I mean, you know, Def Leppard comes on and I'm in like, oh yeah, this is Def Leppard.
Dude, every time he brings up Def Leppard, I say, what has 9 arms and sucks? Def Leppard, dude. Ugh. Like, I feel like that about, and this might be sacrilege as a guitar player, but Van Halen. Like, great guitar player.
Yeah, like I like the skill.
Yeah,
but the sound of it is just like, I don't know. I don't like the 80s.
It's like it's too poppy.
And I party rock.
Yeah. And I totally get it. Yeah. But yeah, I eat that stuff up, and you know, and it's not even just. I mean, even like hardcore like glam bands like, you know, Nelson and Slaughter and, you know, Poison and, you know, all those bands. But anyway, but that, you know, that was what was, I grew up in a really small community, and it was I lived on a farm, and so like it was either country or top 40, right? And so, you know, Bon Jovi, you know, that was on the rock station, right? So, you know, growing up, that was my exposure to, you know, harder rock was, you know, all of that glam music. And so I enjoy it. I like it. So
yeah, my dad raised me on like Metallica and Iron Maiden.
Nice.
And like the Red Hot Chili Pepper CD.
Yeah.
Like the Blood Sugar Sex Magic.
Yeah.
That was a birthday present to my brother when he was 4.
Okay.
I was 2.
Okay. Wow,
all right.
And my mom had no idea what parental advisory meant.
Sure.
She just didn't even think about that sticker at all. She like didn't even see it, because the album's like black and white already.
Yeah.
And then you have the black and white sticker. Like it just kind of blends in. So she just bought that because he would like Give It Away would come on the radio, and he would like dance to it because he's like a 4-year-old, you know. And she was like, "Oh, I'll just get him the album." It's like she didn't understand what the album was about.
Sure.
Like the entire album is about sex. Like the whole fucking
in the name. It's funny, dude. Like my parents were fairly strict with that kind of stuff. Like if it had parental advisory, I wasn't going to get it. But then I'd get stuff like Led Zeppelin or AC/DC, where it's like, well, every song is innuendo. Like go listen to the Lemon song by Led Zeppelin.
The Lemon song.
Yeah, it's like I remember when I was like 13, sitting in the car with my dad and that playing, and being like, oh, this
like,
is
wait
awkward.
a minute. Yeah. I could never actually listen to this before.
I get it now.
Yeah. Well, she knew what the lyrics meant after she was listening to it, like in the living room with the kid, and just like, oh my god, like,
yeah,
like the she wouldn't let us get Halo when we were
okay.
Like,
all
yeah,
right.
she like we were like, I don't know, 11 and 13, and she wouldn't let us get Halo. It's like, oh, come on, she's like, all you're doing is killing things. It's like, yeah,
they're not real though.
They're bad.
Yeah.
They're aliens.
Right.
Like they're trying to take over the world. Like,
yeah. And that was that time, right? There was this, you know, a different cultural standard, I guess, you know, in regards to those kind of things. But I don't know. I mean, I think there's a lot of music that comes out now that to me is just, it's almost just, I guess, for lack of a better term, I feel like it's just not even, it's just kind of bad, right? Like maybe lyrically right? And like there's certain, you know, songs in hip hop or metal and stuff like that. And I'm just sort of like, I'm not feeling it.
I think a lot of it is like a lot of the money is coming from short form streaming nowadays.
Sure.
So the big name artists will write songs that have a specific clip in it that's this amount of time, and that's this arrangement that will work for a TikTok video or something, you know. So a lot of the like more popular artists, like they're not really doing it to make albums that are great. They're doing it to make a 15-second clip in one of the songs on the album.
Sure.
It's like one of them gets used like 100 million times on TikTok, like you're raking in money.
Yeah.
So it's like they're not trying to make the fucking next, you know, like Queen album. Like they don't give a shit.
That's part of why I like diving into like the local scene so much.
Yeah, they care.
Yeah, it's
the local guys.
There is some genuine
They give a
stuff out
shit.
there.
Yeah, that's. Well, I shouldn't say that none of the bigger
of course
artists
not.
give a shit. Like, there's obviously like great talent out there, but the local scene, whatever genre, they're always trying so fucking hard.
Yeah,
and like it shows.
That's like, to your point, it's kind of a double-edged sword, but I think a big part of that is accessibility. Like it is so easy for anybody to record or make music now. I mean, you can do it on your phone.
True.
Right? So that creates this influx.
Oliver Stone guy. That Oliver Stone guy.
I know the name, but I don't know
why. He went
why.
viral just by recording shit on his phone.
Yeah.
And it's just him singing with an acoustic guitar, so
yeah.
it's not like it's all that complicated,
Right.
musically. But he, I don't know, wrote some good songs, and his lyrics like resonate with people.
Sure.
That's and that's it. That's a double-edged sword, right? Is you get more people who can make great things and get it out to the world, but you also get a lot of people who make not great things, or the new thing is AI music, right? And it's like, so it creates this vast sea to sift through. But if you're willing to, there's some gems out there. Like we have a friend, her music name she goes by is Lady Cactus, and dude, she did this self-produced album in her bedroom, and it is incredible.
So good.
It is so good.
I'll look it up.
I don't even know how to describe it. It's kind of Americana, sort of psychedelic rock, but
So good. Yeah.
getting lost in that sea, you look at it, it's got like 20 plays, and it's like, man, that's kind of sad. It's so good. More people need to listen to it. It's just, it's interesting. So I try to get into those.
I'm going to plug it
smaller
really quick
ones.
because
Peyote Bisbee. Yeah, that's the name of the album. Yeah.
Bisbee.
Yeah, so Peyote
Middle of
Bisbee.
nowhere.
Yeah, so Lady Cactus is her artist name, and then Peyote Bisbee is the name of her record, and it's a story of Peyote, and she's been in an accident, and so she's like in
She's in a coma.
right? And so each song is like, her sort of processing, going through it. Great record.
Yeah.
I am, and maybe I'm the old man here, but I'm not a particularly big fan of really AI anything. And I see the importance of it, but I think it's one of those things that is only as good as what parameters it's been given to figure out. And so I've seen a lot, like there's a lot of like comic conventions now that are like, banning anything associated with like AI artwork, which I think it's good because it keeps the real artists, their work is credible, right? And then there's a lot of like other countries that are starting to like ban any kind of AI music from being on their charts and stuff like that, which I think is...
What I think is that like banning things and restricting things doesn't make them go away.
Sure.
No.
So I think a better option would be to add a disclaimer.
Yeah, sure.
Like just to say, like, if you are going to sell any sort of art that used AI at all, like you need to like put a disclaimer on there that you used AI for it.
Sure.
And then people can decide whether they want to
consume it or
not.
Yeah.
Let the market decide, pretty much. And there's always going to be a market for it now that it exists.
Yeah, it's not going anywhere.
Yeah, people are going to pay for it. Yeah. So
and like in terms of, for lack of a better term, competition. So like stuff like the Grammys, let's say, or Music Awards or whatever, give it its own category. Fine. Like it can exist. Just give it a lane to exist in. And it's like, it's going to be interesting to watch that landscape be developed. Are you a video game guy at all?
A little bit. I'm not a huge gamer, but I can spend too many hours on a game. Sure.
A recent example of that was Expedition 33.
I saw that. I saw
Swept
those
the Game
articles.
Awards, and then they learned they used AI assets like in the pre-alpha stage or something. And it didn't make it to the final product, but that was enough for them to say, we're going to pull all of your awards. So you're starting to see that kind
I
of
followed
stuff.
that story, and I thought that was kind of bullshit.
Yeah,
because you should be able to use AI as a utility in building things, as long as you're not generating the content itself.
I agree with
like
that,
the original
yeah.
content with AI. I feel like you could use AI to say, make me a box.
Yep.
So you don't have to go through the 4 steps to make the same fucking box.
Use it as a tool,
but
right?
yeah, exactly. But that's what they pulled it for, because they're using it for those like early developmental tools, just like.
And it was a team of like 30 people or something, like super small.
It's like
this thing was silly.
That was kind of bullshit.
And I think AI being focused as a tool is the right way to get it done. Like if anybody ever figures out how to get AI to do my dishes, I'm all about it, right? I just don't want it to make my songs or my art or,
Yeah.
But I think it's going to be interesting once we see and maybe it's already happened, I'm just not aware of it, but like a larger musical artist, a successful one, use it as an element, right? Like, hey, the synth line in this song was made by AI or something, and kind of see what the reaction to that is from the masses. Because I think the general public, like not artists, just kind of your average Joe, I don't think they're going to care. And if it makes money, they're going to go, well, that was easier than paying a guy to do it. And I think you're going to start seeing a lot more of it, but we'll see.
Yeah. But I mean, like you said, it's not going away.
No.
It's like, this is just a problem. We're going to have to see how it flushes out. But I just think banning and restricting the use of things is...
You force scarcity, it drives demand, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's why people do drugs, right? You say, I can't, I'm going to check it out, right?
Like, I know a bunch of people who do this already. They're fine. They're not fine.
No.
Well, that's like the DARE program.
Yeah.
Right? That was a massive failure because they made such a big thing about marijuana being bad, and then people would try and go, that's it? Well, if that's all that was, heroin can't be that bad. They're blowing it out of proportion, right?
If you want to make the gateway drug argument, like the reason it's a gateway drug is because you're lumping it in with everything else.
Yeah. Sure.
Like if you didn't do that and it was more like alcohol, it wouldn't be a fucking gateway drug. Like, seems pretty obvious to me.
You would think.
Yeah, crazy. It's just like, old politicians who groom their whole life to be a politician never touch this shit. They have no idea what they're talking about. Yeah. But happens too often.
Yeah, it does.
And then everyone in Congress is fucking 80 years old, so that doesn't help.
Yeah, a bunch of it's crazy stuff.
What is it? You have to be like 25 to run for Congress.
Oh, I have no idea, man.
It doesn't fucking matter anymore.
I stay
It doesn't
away
matter
from all
anymore.
of it.
Yeah. The only people running are like 60 or older, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I try to stick to the lighter side of life as much as I can.
I watch too much politics.
It's hard not to right now. It's very polarizing.
And that's something we've talked about, like with the band, because you do get, especially we're a weird one because we don't fit in a genre squarely. We're kind of all over the place, and that's sort of the fun of it, is nothing's really off the table.
Yeah.
We got punk and metal, and we're working on a ska song, and like we're just whatever, we're having fun with it. But kind of by default, especially with the promoters that we work with most of the time, we wind up on punk bills a lot. And punk in its nature tends to be political, but us as a band, we want to stay very apolitical. We don't want to get into it at all. It's just like, we're here to have fun, have a good time, take people's minds off whatever might be bugging them, just have fun for an hour, right? So we kind of dodge it like the plague in that realm, at least.
I mean, that's a safe way for sure.
Yeah.
Dude.
Yeah, and I think, like obviously, there are some bands that, a big part of their message, right? When you look back at, say like Dead Kennedys or Black Flag or Descendants or whoever, right? And or even Rage Against the Machine, right? Bands that have like a very political message, or a rebellion against conformity, or constraint or whatever. And I appreciate that, and that's their identity, right? That's what their band is saying. That's what their lyrics are about. That's what their songs are about. But our band, we're a nerd rock band, right? So our songs really reference pop culture, right? In all these different things, right? So when you're talking about 80s cartoons or action figures or video games or fantasy, worlds or, films or whatever, right? Most of that is, something that brings joy because of what it is inherently, right? People, look back and think, well, He-Man, that was toys I played with, and it was a cartoon, and, there was a cereal, and it was this thing, and I enjoy it, right? And so, for us, when we write songs about those kind of things, it's very, what I don't want to do is, dive into something that's very controversial, right? Because, I just want people to remember that, yeah, He-Man was rad. You know what I mean? Like, this was a fun thing when I was, 6 years old or 5 years old. And it still is, right? It's something that, even as an adult, I still look back at those childhood memories fondly, right? And so writing a song about that, hopefully whoever's in the audience, remembers that, you know what I mean? Or it triggers a reminder of a simpler time when they were younger, or when they were playing with their friends or cousins, or or they had a play set and they're like doing that or whatever.
Yeah, sure. The nostalgia button.
Yeah. Totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
Say, do we need to rebrand like Nostalgia Core or something?
It's because we call ourselves a nerd rock band because we're nerds.
Nothing else really sticks.
Yeah, and so that's kind of
easy to understand.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
You could picture what that means.
Yeah.
It's like I'm gonna plug a show we have coming up. Where we got asked to open for Psycho Stick and
Oh, really?
and
Psycho
Galactic
Stick.
Empire.
Those guys are old.
Yeah, they've been around a long time. Yeah.
Yeah, dude. I remember
I'll
my
give
buddy
you-
showing me
actually, I have a flyer
those guys
in
in
my
like 8th grade.
That's
nice, dude.
But like Galactic Empire, like if you're not familiar with them, they do like instrumental metal covers of Star Wars and other movie themes and stuff. And it's like, that's it. That's our brand. That's our people. It exists out there. Like another great example was
I've seen bands that do that for sure.
another good example of like, it's like, he's not rock, but Megaran. Are you familiar with him?
No.
He's a video game themed hip hop artist.
Okay.
And so it's like there is this kind
Power
of
Glove.
Yeah, yeah. It's
Power
like there
Glove.
is this community that exists. It's just really niche.
There's a band called Cybertronic, and they all dress up in like Transformers uniforms.
Oh,
Very cool. Very cool stuff. Yeah. And Megaran, just quick side note, he got nominated for a Grammy this year for a children's album that he did. So,
oh, nice.
yeah. So,
he's another local artist.
yeah,
too.
he's based out of
cool.
Phoenix. Yeah. So he's doing something.
He's
they're
all
doing
over the place
Yeah,
right
he's
now.
doing so much because of all of the stuff that's happening. But they're doing a history of hip hop, or a hip hop thing at the Musical Instrument Museum, and he's going to be doing some stuff there. So we'll hit him up and go check him out and things. But
That's been I don't know. An interesting thing with our group is it's a bunch of Gen X guys, and then I'm the one millennial. So they're all like 80s, 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 and I'm over here like 90s. So it's been
what
kind
about
of
Courage the Cowardly Dog?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's been this kind of world for me to navigate, and I'm learning lots of things, and trying to figure out like a local scene that we would fit in has been very eye opening.
Yeah.
Like Megaran hit us up and was like, "Hey, you should come play with us at UuCon." And I'm like, what the hell is UuCon? I don't know what that is. It's an anime convention, right? And it's like, anime's cool. I'm not well versed in it. There's some out there that I like, but it's like, there's this whole world of people who would be potentially into what we do. I just have to discover it, right? So that's been fun to dive into.
Make a song about Goku.
Right, exactly.
there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. And that's like something I'm learning a lot about because my kids are really into anime. So they're like, Dad, check out this anime. And so we've been watching a lot, and it's great. Some of the stuff that the manga they read, and some of the films. And
Have you watched JoJo's Bizarre Adventure yet?
so good.
Dude, it's so crazy.
It is.
I'm watching it for the first time just now. I'm on like season 3.
Yeah.
Dude, it's so fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, it is crazy.
The show is
Yeah.
insane.
Yeah. My son way into it, and I recently, my wife, my son, and I, we watched it, and it's phenomenal. Like the storytelling and the ideas, and and again for me, like being somebody who just loves pop culture and crazy stories and just weird abilities and just it's unique, right? He's telling stories in a way
Like the stories are pretty good.
Yeah.
But like I'm more into like the technical explanation of powers and stuff like that. Like I like Marvel over DC because Marvel will get into the science of shit. And it's like, dude, JoJo is like retarded from that perspective.
Sure.
Like, there is no explanation of any of it.
All of a
you just
sudden
have to take all of it for granted. Like, oh, okay, I guess that guy, he can just heal people for no reason.
Yep, that's his ability.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I get that. Like, my biggest nerd thing that I love more than anything in the whole world is Warhammer. I don't know if you're familiar with that.
Yeah, Warhammer has endless lore. I don't know anything about it, honestly.
But it kind of does that thing where it's like, I don't know, the rules are made up. Like, everything's just kind of all over the place. Why does this gun do that? I don't know. They pray to it, and it just does. Like, I love it. It's ridiculous. It's just over the top. So, all right,
it just
I might have to check
causes
that
so many
out,
arguments in
yeah.
the community. Dude.
Yeah.
I always see Warhammer shit pop up on Facebook. I like go through the comments. It's just people arguing in paragraphs about lore.
They're
It's
very
like,
passionate
Jesus,
about it.
dude.
Yeah.
I'm just like, I'll paint my little plastic guys and be happy. You guys can argue.
That's not canon. That's not canon.
Yeah. And you know what? Like, for me, like, you know, I'm just into so many like properties, right? And really, I mean, it's, you know, a little bit of 70s, totally big time 80s, like he said, you know, and then there is 90s. I mean, like, I'm still an avid watcher of cartoons, right? So even as an adult, I watch a lot of
Some good ones out there.
there's some great ones. I just started watching the new third season of Primal. I don't know if you've watched the
Primal. No, I
cool,
haven't watched that one. I wanted it to get further so I could just watch it all in a row.
Yeah, so yeah,
Like, I
the
didn't want to
first-
watch season by season.
Yeah.
Like, I like binging shit all in a row.
And the creator of that, Genny Tartakovsky, right? He's famous because he
genius,
did.
dude.
Yeah, he did.
I love that guy.
Dexter's Laboratory, which is one of
Samurai
my all-time
Jack.
favorite. Yeah, Samurai
Jack,
yeah,
dude.
Samurai
Powerpuff
Jack.
Girls.
Yeah,
Powerpuff Girls
yeah.
was so good.
Yeah, that whole generation of Cartoon Network, right?
And that's like, for me, that's my childhood. That's what I was raised
Yeah,
on.
I love that stuff. Yeah. So yeah, and then he went on and did Clone Wars, a couple of it's canon, but it was a part of right before episode 2 came out. No. Episode 3, because that's when Grievous came out. And he introduced him in like an animated form, but his version of Clone Wars and Star Wars before it was like a 3D animated or whatever. Very cool. And then, you know, he's done all kind of other stuff, but he did this show Primal, which is great. And anyway, they just started season 3, just hit HBO. So I've been watching that.
ads for that.
Yeah, it's amazing. I
He
just
made this other show that's not as well known. It's called Symbionic Titan.
okay.
And it's about this girl who, like, she's like a princess on her homeworld.
Okay.
And she has to like escape because they're going to assassinate her and her family or whatever. But she escapes, and then they send like one of the royal guard with her, and he's like the same age. He's like this young royal guard guy, and then they send a robot with them to like protect her.
Sure.
And it's all like some, you know, haphazard escape plan. Just get the fuck out of here. Like, go to this planet Earth. And they have to like blend in a high school.
Oh, okay.
But like they all like, you know, are high school kids. But
Sure.
It's kind of like the same type of humor as like Dexter's Lab and
sure.
Powerpuff Girls. It's the same like just goofy shit. And they're like being hunted by aliens. So the high school is always getting destroyed. And shit. It's pretty fun.
I love it.
That's a good show. But it only had like one season.
Sure.
Because it got canceled like.
Yeah.
I don't know. The era of cartoons was moving on, so it didn't.
Dude, a modern cartoon that wasn't around when I was a kid, but when I found it as an adult, I was like, I love this, is Adventure Time.
Oh, yeah.
Adventure
Time is pretty good.
Yeah, I really liked Adventure
It's just
Time.
so creative.
Yeah. They've done a spin-off called Fiona and Cake, which is like that alternate world in Adventure Time.
Oh, they like gender swap them, right?
Yeah. So that's cool. I've been watching that.
But it kind of grew up with the audience though. Like Fiona and Cake is way more towards adults.
Totally.
Like the episodes are way more like have way more depth than Adventure Time.
Yeah. For sure.
Adventure Time is just like Finn going and fucking shit up.
Yeah.
Like there's like a deep subplot to it like later on in the seasons, but Fiona and Cake is just that plot pretty much. It's like you know, filling in all these plot holes from the original show and stuff as it goes on.
Okay.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I like that. I was a big fan of Regular Show.
Regular Show's fun, dude.
Yeah, I really
that
like
first episode, him boning will save your life someday. Yeah. It's hilarious.
Yeah, no, I was really big into Regular Show. They're supposedly doing a new season of Regular Show this year, and then I guess Adventure Time as well. It's like the side quest or something, so it's going to be more like side adventures of Finn and Jake and stuff. But anyway, I'm into that. And then of course, I've always been a fan of like The Simpsons and Futurama.
Yeah,
both
Futurama's like my all-time favorite.
So good. Yeah, I have a Zoidberg patch on my battle vest.
I should do a Zoidberg song,
dude.
That'd be fun.
I'm gonna get a Bender tattoo.
There you go. Nice.
There we go. A song called "Kiss My Shiny Metal Ass."
There you go.
Perfect. Dude. Hell yeah.
I met John DiMaggio at Comic-Con and Billy
Nice.
West. And John DiMaggio signed my Bender. Bite My Shiny Metal Ass. John DiMaggio. Nice guy. Really nice guy. So was Billy West. He was really nice. I also like Bob's Burgers, right?
I love Bob's Burgers, dude.
Yeah, that one is like hit or miss for me.
Sure.
There's some good episodes, and then there's some where I'm like, why the hell am I watching this? Like, this is terrible and
Granted,
awkward.
I'm like 3 seasons behind.
Yeah.
So
No,
I don't know if it-
Yeah, I'm one of those people though. Like, they're like, I find Star Wars fans to be very difficult, in fandom of many kinds, because you get people who take this fictional thing and weaponize it, right, or become so hypercritical of it, or other people who like something they don't like or whatever, and it just becomes almost toxic, right? Like a toxic fan base, and it bums me out because for me it's just like, okay, yeah, I didn't care for that episode, but the thing as a whole, I love it, right? And I look at like Star Wars films, right, and like, yeah, some of the newer ones, were there things in it that I loved? Sure. Were there things in it that I thought were lame? Okay, yeah, sure. But the thing for me is, my parents took me to see Return of the Jedi. It was the first movie I ever saw in the theater, and it's my favorite movie of all time just because of that, sentimental reason and looking back. But for me, things like Star Wars are so important because now as an adult, I got to take my kids to see Star Wars movies the day they came out in the theater and stuff like that. And so there's like, for me, more of a sentimental connection to it. And so like when,
Yeah, you have to understand, there is definitely a cliff where it drops off.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And,
Like, you can't ignore that fact.
I can't.
There is a sheer drop at some point in the Star Wars
and I agree.
franchise.
But I understand that. But I also feel like for me, like, even though it did that, it doesn't diminish what the rest of it has brought to me, right? And that's my own opinion, right?
There's a lot in Star Wars that's really good.
Yeah.
Like and like some of the scenes in the newer movies, like, they were cool. Like, there's some really cool scenes in there. I just didn't like the storyline. Like, the story made no sense.
I thought,
but it's like, I like the visuals.
Yes,
Like, the visuals were cool.
Episode 7 was fun, and there's the scene where they're like fighting in the snow and the trees. It's like visually, oh, that's super cool. The next one, I hated everything. I forget the names. Is that Rise of Skywalker or the one before? Anyways, doesn't matter. But there's the one scene where it's like the salt desert, and then it's like this white and red contrast, and it super cool looking. But I hated the movie. I'm not a big Star Wars guy, which I know is sacrilege to him. I've always found it a little too black and white.
Well, I have a litmus test I use for like Star Wars fans. I just tell them like right off the bat, like, it's fantasy.
Yes,
It's not
definitely.
sci-fi. It's fantasy.
Yeah.
And like, whether they get mad or not, like, that'll tell me who I'm working with, like, who I'm talking to. They get mad, it's like, okay, dude, like, you have this sentimental connection where nothing in Star Wars is bad, and it's like, that's fine. Like, that's okay. Then I know what not to say. Like, but if they say like, yeah, it's more fantasy, like, I get that. It's like, okay, then we can have a discussion about Star Wars without getting into an argument.
I can make him mad. Rogue One sucked. That movie was horrible.
You're wrong.
Here's why. Here's why. We know the story, right? We know how it ends because that's established in further plot or earlier plot. But they spend that whole movie trying to make you care about the characters, and my brain went, "They're gonna die. Why do I care?" Sorry, spoilers. I guess I don't know. It's kind of an older movie now, but
It's pretty old.
I'm like, I'm not going to invest in the characters at all because I know how this plays out. That was my thing. It ripped it all away for me.
Well, I wanted to. I knew how it ended. Obviously, they get the plans to whatever, but I just liked the idea. Like, it's like watching like a war movie. You know how Black Hawk Down ends. If you go read the mission report,
fair point. Yeah.
You can still watch the movie and get entertainment out of it. And
That's fair. That's fair.
like Saving Private Ryan. Sure. It's not historical, but that he's gonna get back. Sure. Like, they're gonna solve their mission or complete the mission. But
Yeah. No, so a couple of things. Like I
you get 'em.
Yeah, no. I loved Rogue One, and I like it because it's it's telling a story that leads up to a point that I know happens. And so I enjoy that, whereas you're saying you don't. But I think part of me too, like I understand like Star Wars is a cultural juggernaut, right? Both in just entertainment, but also in fandom and merchandise and everything like that. I mean, it's massive. And the problem I think that a lot of Star Wars fans have is the GOAT of Star Wars movies was made right at the, I mean, even though Jedi is my favorite, Empire Strikes Back is definitively the best movie in the entire, in my opinion, but Empire Strikes Back is the best movie in the entire Star Wars filmography. And it was the first movie, where like one of the heroes didn't win and you find out that Vader's Luke's dad. I mean, there was this huge plot twist. I mean, that never happened before, right? And it ends without completion, right? So everybody's just hanging on the end like, what? There's the good did not overcome evil yet, right? This whole thing. And so because that movie is essentially perfect, in my opinion, every other film is trying to get you to a point of like meeting that expectation again, or meeting how incredible that film was. And it's so good. I don't know if they'll ever make a film or a show or anything in the Star Wars universe that's going to meet that expectation. And so everybody, I think, in their minds, when they think about a Star Wars film, is expecting to be blown away at that level, and then when it falls short, they're upset. Right?
I think the biggest issue with the newer movies is that they kind of didn't really make an original story.
Exactly.
They retold the old story with different characters.
Sure.
And like more, like bigger ships, more destruction. Like we killed more planets this time. So it's like the same story, just bigger.
Yeah.
And it's like I think that's what people had a problem with. Yeah. Is like they wanted like, oh, the next chapters to the story. Like, nope, it's this first 3 chapters, but different.
Yeah. It felt lazy.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and I didn't even watch the third one because I was like,
yeah. No, I mean, it's cool. But yeah, I mean, it was just like, okay, they brought Palpatine back. Come on. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like
that guy's gone.
They could have made new characters. They could have made a new story, and they chose to just use the formula.
Sure. Well, I think, J.J. Abrams did a really good job coming in, and then Rian Johnson tried to do his own thing, and I think he was trying to go that direction, but because it got such negative feedback, they were like, oh, we got to save this. Let's get it, let's get him back, right? And, so they had him come back and do the third film, not Rian Johnson, but the other director, and it kind of fell flat. But for me, like, I think when we're writing songs or whatever, I'm trying to find non-controversial things, right? Like, so for example, we have a song about 2 kind of Star Wars songs. One about The Mandalorian, because I love that show.
It was pretty good.
Yeah, and it's basically just a Cliff Notes version of that television show, and it just kind of talks about little elements that are sweet in every one of those seasons, right? And then we also have a song called Bounty Hunter about Boba Fett, and he was just badass character, right? He just, obviously there's a lot more lore now and all this stuff about him, but for a long time it was like he was only in the movie for very little, and then he, in Jedi he falls in the Sarlacc pit. Is he dead? I don't know, or whatever, right? And so years later, obviously he didn't die, but that character, that toy, was just like, it was mysterious, right? And so kids gravitated toward it, and so for me, it's like, yeah, I want to grab those things that are, it's hard to disagree on, right? And then we have, songs about Battle Cat from He-Man, which obviously is kind of relevant now that the new trailers come out with the new movie this summer, and we have a song about G.I. Joe. That one's a little more autobiographical, if you will, because it was when I was a kid, like my G.I. Joes were with me everywhere. It was in my pocket everywhere I went. And back in the day, the figures, I mean, their hands were just enough to put a weapon in, but it was a thumb and a hand. And When you play with them, a lot of times their thumbs would eventually break off. So you have these characters with thumbs, and when you played with them a lot, they would get loose, right? And so all their joints were loose, and they would just kind of flop around. You couldn't pose them or anything anymore. And so that song's a little bit about how I broke a G.I. Joe right after I got him, like a few hours after I got him, and how I was just so sad that I broke his arm off. And for me, when I was a kid, when their arms would break or their thumbs would come off or they become really loose, those all became the bad guys because they sucked, right? This character can't stand up anymore, so he's a bad guy. So I would always like make the ones that were messed up, or like they had the way they made them, they had that plastic crotch piece, and if that broke off, oh, he's a bad guy now. And so, so anyway, I had this sweet road.
I don't know if that's a great message.
There's a joke there.
yeah, and that's. but yeah. So anyway, I broke this figure when I was little, throwing him, pretending he had a parachute, but he didn't, and I broke his arm off, and I was so sad. I remember just bawling, and my parents were like, "We're not buying you another one. You know, we just bought you this guy a few days ago, and you already broke it." So, you know, so anyway, I had this roadblock, and he only had one arm, and he was a bad guy now, and I was so upset about it. And then a few months later, this rainstorm came, and it washed these rocks, and my dad found his arm in a mud puddle, and so he super glued his arm back on, and I was just elated. I was like, "Yeah, he's back from the dead." So anyway, that song about G.I. Joe is about that experience. But yeah, it's just, you know, enjoying pop culture, enjoying toys and movies. You know, when Lucas joined the band, you know, he's a big, he really likes horror movies.
Yeah, that's kind of more my thing. Like Army of Darkness, Evil Dead. Like that's,
oh yeah, dude.
That's like that was my first thing when I joined. It was like, oh, do you have an Army of Darkness song? No. Like, all right, you're gonna, all right, and then wrote it like 2 weeks later.
Yeah.
I mean, like I moved fast on it.
And you know what was really great about that was like I don't want to say I pigeonhole, but I have a very unique way of writing, and so chord structures that I use and riff ideas that I use are comfortable in what is my more dominant playing styles for guitar. Mm-hmm. And so when Lucas joined the band, he brought that song, and it was very different than anything I would write. It's, you know, it's more of a minor key, and it has very different riff styles that I would do, and it was great. And that's one of the things that's kind of really special about our band is that we're very collaborative, right? It's not, you know, it's not like I'm the creative force, and you know, I do a lot of lyric writing. And I come up with ideas, but then I present those ideas as shells. Like, hey guys, these are 3 ideas that I have, and this is what I want the theme of this song to be about. What do you guys think? And then we kind of, you know, wood shop it a little bit. And well, what if we try this, or what if we do that? Like we were just doing that the other night at practice of, you know, hey, why don't you try this? And okay, come in here, and I'm going to do this, and then you come in there, and so it's never, you know, which it's great, and I love that about our group is that it's very collaborative. It's not, you know, this is my way or the highway kind of thing, right?
Yeah, and it creates some interesting stuff too, because like you said, he's kind of more in that classic rock. I'm in that more kind of Sabbath-y, sludgy thing, and then our bass player, he's like, he brings out this like funk pop slap stuff, and it's like, all right, let's squish it all together and make it work. Yeah. But I see your guitar on the wall. Do you play?
I used to play, but I would just like pick around and like write my own little riffs here and there. But so I'm not good or anything. I'm not good enough to be in a band. So I just kind of fuck around.
It's okay. It's going to be enough for you to field this question because I'm going to start a fight right now. So talking about. You know where I'm going. Talking about different musical styles and influences, we have a debate between the two of us about who is the better guitar player, Slash or John Mayer. And before he says anything, I'm curious what your answer is to that.
Well, you know, I'm not really sure.
Have you ever really heard John Mayer play?
Not
like your body is a wonderland. Like actually like play guitar.
No, I don't think so. That's why I can't really answer.
He's so good, dude. He's way better than Slash. Like way better. That's it, and it makes him mad, and I love to bring it up.
It's not that it
constantly.
makes me mad. I just
look
here's
mad.
the thing. No, the camera.
Another one I can make you mad again.
The camera doesn't lie, and it's right there. No, he's doing this because he knows that I'm going to die on this hill. But no, Slash is a big influence for me. Obviously, at the time in the 90s, like, Metallica was 1 and Guns N' Roses was 2, in my opinion, as far as like the huge bands. And, Slash for me has a gigantic influence, not so much because of his songwriting or his playing, but he always played a Gibson Les Paul, and I thought that guitar was the greatest looking guitar there is, right? And I'm a action figure collector, and also I collect a lot of instruments.
That's an understatement,
okay,
dude. Like, it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
There's a picture that we took in that room on our Instagram, but I mean, it is floor to ceiling, like figures in the boxes.
I have a few
not
figures and stuff from like Dragon Ball Z,
Yeah.
like words.
Dragon
Dragon
Ball.
Ball.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Like
nice.
multiply that by like, and I'm not exaggerating.
Yeah, my collection's
30,000.
comics.
Yeah.
I collect a bunch of random comics.
Beautiful.
but-
Yeah. And I find that there's people find their thing, right? And their collector thing or whatever. And it's funny for me because like, playing with toys, I think for me was a lot of escape. My therapist or counselor, if you will, he talks about, because there was a lot of, there was some turmoil in my childhood revolving around like alcoholism and other stuff like that. And so for me, like my escape was playing with my G.I. Joes or my Ninja Turtles or my He-Man guys. And really for me, it wasn't just, it was like always everybody. Like it was just this, like every toy I had was there. So I became a big collector of that. And then obviously as I got older, getting into music, right, I became, as a guitar player, it's like, well, this one sounds different than that one. It has different wood and it's a different manufacturer. And, it's hard to articulate that to my wife because she's like, what do you need another guitar for? But for me, like the definitive like look and sound of guitar for me is just the sounds of, Appetite for Destruction and Use Your Illusion 1. Those records just, for me, like listen to them a lot. And so just became, somebody who just was very obsessed with Les Paul style guitars, Gibson guitars. And don't get me wrong, like, I like a Strat, and that's what Hendrix played and he's my favorite guitar player. But yeah, that Slash time. But, and I think there's a lot of people that like will, and I know you're trying to,
That's fine.
You're
That's
goading
okay.
me to into this conversation, but yeah, no, John Mayer's a great player, but I just don't think, can you hum a John Mayer riff?
See, okay, and this is what this is ultimately where this argument winds up every time, is because the question isn't songwriting, it's technical ability. John Mayer can do everything on the guitar that Slash can do, not the other way around. But Slash has the better branding, right? He's more iconic, and he's got the more iconic songs. That's it. I'll leave it alone now. I just, I can get you again. I love this game, dude. I love getting him riled. He's so I'm sure you can tell he's so passionate about lots of things, and I tend to be fairly flippant with my stances on stuff because I like picking fights. So like comic books, that it's never been my thing. Actually, I just recently started getting into. Are you a Coheed and Cambria fan at all?
Not really,
No.
but
It just
Claudio Sanchez gets brought up a lot. It's
I
my
was
hair.
gonna say because the hair, yeah. And, dude, that band, and I'll tie this back to comic books. I promise that band for the longest time, I tried to get into him, and every time I did, I'm like, I can't do his voice. I can't do it. And for whatever reason, like I don't know, 4 months ago, I went, I'm gonna try again. I turned on a record, and it just something in my brain clicked, and I'm like obsessed all of a sudden. But they have a comic book series that ties into all their albums, so that's been kind of my first little dipping my toe into comics, and I'm really
which one?
enjoying it. It's called the Amory Wars.
Amory Wars.
Yeah, and
I have some others by him.
it's what Evil Inc. I think is his publisher, and they do a few.
Well, he did some by Boom. So
Okay.
I have Key of Z,
I've seen that name.
Translucid, and Kill Audio.
I have those three.
I've seen the names just on the website.
They're actually signed.
Really
Yeah,
nice,
they're
dude.
signed.
Heck yeah, I want to go to one of their shows. I guess he hangs out at the merch booth and signs them and stuff. Then I had a buddy give me a copy of Saga,
Oh yeah,
That's pretty interesting.
I have all the saga up to
Yeah.
recent. Like, I bet there's another one out. I got to go get it. But
I have whatever the first volume is, and I enjoyed it. Really interesting, unique.
yeah, they're up to like 11 or 12
No kidding.
now.
Oh.
But dude, that story is so fucking good.
It's
I like all the independent like artists
Mm-hmm.
and like authors. You know, I don't want to stick with just Marvel or DC. Like the only Marvel one I have is Daredevil. I have a couple things by Daredevil, and then I have this series called Fear Itself. And honestly, that's kind of what turned me off of Marvel. It's because Fear Itself, I bought the first book, and it's about this world-changing event where like Odin's brother gets released from his prison, and he feeds on fear. So he sends these crazy, like powerful weapons down to like the strongest heroes on the earth just to make fear. So he can get stronger. And he gives one to like the Thing. He gives a hammer to the Hulk, and they possess them and they just start taking buildings out and shit like that. He gave one to the Juggernaut. Like all the strongest, craziest, you know, people on the earth. He just gave him a weapon that possesses them. And I thought the story was so cool. I started buying the other like versions of it, and it's just those heroes like experience during that time. You know, and I was like, after I got to like, you know, 8 or 9 of them, I was like, damn, dude, this is kind of like the same story over and over. Like, do I have to do this for every single event in Marvel? You know, and like, I don't know what to buy and what not to buy at certain times. It's just like too overwhelming. It's like the independent stories. You buy number 1, then you get number 2, you get number 3, like, and it just tells the whole story. You're not missing anything. And I don't know. I got into those, and that was pretty cool.
It's superheroes have just never really been my thing. They've never clicked or resonated with me. I get the appeal, but like for me, and this probably comes from like my love of things like Warhammer and Starship Troopers and that kind of stuff. But I see a character like Superman, and I go, he seems kind of overpowered. Like
Superman's
I don't like,
gay.
Like that's
I hate Superman.
but the one that really riles me up and will really rile him up is Batman.
Oh, here we go.
Batman is not a superhero. He doesn't have superpowers.
He's the world's
Cut and dry,
greatest
dude.
detective.
He's a vigilante.
It doesn't mean he's not talented, but he's not a superhero.
He's a billionaire vigilante. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, he's not a superhero.
Yeah, he's just a rich guy who's strong.
He's a hero, not a
Yes.
superhero.
Exactly.
Oh,
Thank
my
you.
gosh.
Thank you. Can he shoot laser beams out of his eyes or
Doesn't need
fly?
to.
Or...
He doesn't need to. He's a ninja. He's trained in martial arts. He's got
I'm not saying he's
levels,
not impressive,
genius levels of intellect.
but he can't lift a bus and toss it halfway down the block.
True.
It's like,
Nah, man. Nah. You're
I'm
not
gonna write a song about that.
Honestly, I hate DC mostly just because the heroes are ridiculous, like Superman and like Green Lantern. Like you do fucking anything, dude.
Yeah,
Like
that's my thing. It's like you
like-
have to create something to make them unbroken. It's like
Yeah, like
you know,
I think the way somebody described it to me is that like Marvel is like what the hero is capable of doing.
Okay.
And then DC is about like what the hero is capable of sacrificing. So it's like, yeah, they're all powerful. They can get out of any situation physically, but you know, when their like girlfriend is on the line or like their mother is on the line, like the villain's threatening their family, like what are they willing to do to get out of the situation? You know, and like that's how DC is written. It's
Makes
like
sense.
I get it. I personally like the physical like stories where it's like, you know, Iron Man builds a crazy suit out of, you know, this material, makes a new generator for it, and it's like that's pretty fucking cool.
Yeah.
You know,
I guess
like,
also not a superhero by my same logic. Then I never really thought about him.
yeah, he's not either.
yeah.
Well, I tell you, I like both. I like DC. I like Marvel. I like IDW. You know, obviously, like the stuff they've done with Ninja Turtles and stuff like that. But yeah, for me, again, like so much of that, I think, was just because growing up, you know, I had my little Superman pajamas, right? And so it was just like, you know, I saw Christopher Reeve in Superman, and for me, it was just like, that was great. And then, of course, you know, there was Adam West Batman, right? And so I think for me, it wasn't, you know, when you get older and then you can like discern those stories a lot more, you start to realize, oh yeah, that doesn't make sense or whatever. But for me, I think I look at every one of those kind of properties through like 7-year-old goggles. And I think for me, like the parts of it, I guess the same thing I was kind of referring to with Star Wars is like I look through the lens of the parts that for me I love and that help me remember it for something that was so iconic in my childhood overshadows the parts of it that I think would be negative, right? Or that would make no sense. But yeah, for me, as far as DC goes, love Batman, obviously. And I like Superman. I like Cyborg. I kind of like that. I was really into like the superpowers, kind of like toys and stuff like that. So like there was a lot of like tertiary characters in that. And then as far as Marvel goes, I was Spider-Man, for me is my favorite Marvel character, but I also always really liked X-Men. So like
the X-Men were cool because they always had like conflicts within their own organization.
For sure.
Like they're always fighting each other too.
Yeah, and I guess for me, part of it is what I loved about Marvel's take on that was the parallels of how the mutants were treated, very similarly to like what happened with like the civil rights movement, and you know what I mean, and like things like with the way that Marvel tackled like Black Panther, and just the way Stan Lee was very cognizant of making heroes that are experiencing the same struggles as that the reader would, right? In those times, and even today. But always a big fan of Marvel. And then for me, like my bread and butter was Ninja Turtles, right? And I just experienced that because of the Ninja Turtle fandom in '88 of the cartoon and stuff. And it wasn't until I was much older that I went back and read the comics and how much darker and grittier they were. And then I don't know, have you read the Last Ronin that came out a couple years ago?
No, I didn't.
You should check that story out. It's really dark, and but
I heard they were going to make a show.
Yeah,
but then they ended up not doing it.
Yeah, the sad thing is I think
like it was too dark or something.
Exactly, and it is, right? Because and I don't want to spoil anything, but it is very dark, and so I think
characters die.
Yeah,
you can just say that.
Yeah,
characters die.
They do. Yeah, big ones.
Yeah,
major ones.
I could see their hesitation on that, because if you take a franchise that is historically very kid friendly and then turn it on its head and you have some kid go, I do Ninja Turtle, mom and dad don't know, and now they're traumatized.
Well, they experienced that with the Transformers movie when Optimus Prime died. And they brought him back in the cartoon, but yeah, I mean that was a that was a marketing ploy to let's get the old toys out and bring in the new generation of toys, not realizing that like you just shattered the childhood of hundreds of thousands of kids who came to see their favorite character.
Here's an idea.
Yeah.
Make something original.
That's
you're not
Instead
lying.
of just bringing back everything from the 80s and just slapping new colors on it.
Yeah.
Like let's get back to making original things.
Sure. That's where I thought, and my scope of this is pretty limited because I haven't read the comics and I've only seen the first season. But I thought The Boys was really interesting, like a really interesting, at least to me, new take on superheroes. Because it's what if you did have these beings in real life, what would happen? Well, if they're still humans and have human nature, they're going to corrupt. And
I like the first couple seasons of that show.
I heard it went off the rails.
But it kind of went a little ridiculous.
Okay.
They got too much into like social commentary of the real world.
Okay.
So it kind of just became more of like a social statement than like worrying about the plot. Like the first couple seasons were all about the plot. Like how the hell are these guys going to take down this corporation?
Right.
Like this is evil. Like there's all this corruption in this place. And then it just starts getting into like, social commentary on the real world.
Gotcha.
Like this isn't what I wanted.
I just thought the idea of like privatized superheroes was kind of fascinating, right?
Yeah, I've got the first 3 books of that one too.
Nice, all right.
And like the comic is way fucking weirder than the show.
I'm sure.
Like it's like way out there. Like the kind of depravity you see in like the higher society or whatever. Like they have like these crazy parties,
superhero
and
ditty parties.
Yeah, it's like Jesus.
But it's like if it was real, that's probably what would happen, right?
Yeah.
Because we see that in the real world with like billionaires and all that stuff. So it's like if they had superpowers too, oh my god.
Well, in order to control people who could like just rip your head off with a flick, like,
right?
You would need to keep them controlled with like bribes, pretty much.
Yeah.
Like here, you can do whatever you want. We'll get you anything you want. Like nothing's off limits. Just don't cause a problem in society with these powers. That's how they were making their billions of dollars. It's like if people are scared of powers all of a sudden, all that money goes away. Right. So it's like they had to keep them complacent by just feeding them fucking whatever the hell they wanted, all their vices.
And to me, that was taking something old and making it new again. It was like this fresh spin on something. I don't know. Yeah, I thought that was neat.
Yeah, Invincible is kind of another one that did that too.
That's the animated one, right?
Yeah,
I haven't watched that, but I've heard it's good.
Yeah, it's
Invincible
really
is
intense.
really awesome.
Yeah, it's good.
I just know the meme where the fraction of our power, he's pointing at the jets or whatever. That's all I know.
Yeah.
That's like when he's looking at him like all beat up.
Yeah.
Dude, that scene's crazy, dude. That scene in the show, so fucking intense. It's like, that's like one of those episodes where everything changes. And you're like, holy shit, like what's gonna happen now? Like it's like the end of a season.
Okay.
You know, it's like Jesus Christ. Dude.
All right, I gotta check.
It's really that's a really good show.
What's that on? Yeah.
Amazon.
Okay. All right. Yeah. I'll add it to my list.
Yeah. No, it's a good one. But yeah, speaking of, let's see, what other song themes do we have? We got a song about Pee Wee Herman, which is interesting.
That one.
Yeah, our bass player was warming up one night before we got Scott, our bass player, and our drummer Corey was, he was just like kind of playing, and then Scott just started doing this funky bass line, and I mean he can, for punk and metal, obviously slap bass is not like typically the kind of thing. I mean, I guess you do in new metal, like when you listen to Korn or bands like that, but I mean, he was doing this funky groove, and I was just like, whoa, what are you doing? He's like, I'm just warming up. And I was like, hold on, we gotta write a song about this. And so anyway, we started doing it, and it was interesting because we sort of, I don't know how we got on this subject, but I guess probably because, and I hope he doesn't get upset, but our drummer Corey, one of his like traumatic memories from a childhood is the scene in Pee-wee's Big Adventure where Large Marge, face goes all crazy in the semi or whatever. And so I said something like, we should write a song about Large Marge, and it was before I think you joined, right? That was
that was before me.
Yeah. So our old guitar player, great guy. He ended up leaving to pursue other things, but he kind of came up with an idea, and then I kind of had some chords or whatever, and then it was really more still a shell when you joined us. And
y'all had like a really rough demo recording, and that was one of the few ones from before me that I actually added a lot to. Like I added that lead line and wrote a solo and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, but again, just like. It was such a weird movie. Obviously, Danny Elfman composed it, and that was Tim Burton's first directorial role. So, just a very weird movie, but a big hit. And so, for us, that was another sort of thing. But let's see what else we got songs about.
We've got a lot in the pipeline, and it's really fun to see all the different, like, oh dude, this is a thing I like. Like I'm trying to bring some more video game stuff in the fold because that's my, I was raised on Super Nintendo and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
so
sure, dude. Write a song about the Lion King game.
There you go. Oh my god. Stuck on level 2. Yeah. Like we've got a Mario one we're working on, a Warhammer one because of course.
We're just about done with the song.
Labyrinth.
Do you guys have like a cutoff to where your kind of like references end as far as like a timeline?
I think it's open to anything because we've even done like Stranger Things. That's modern. If there was is. I mean, the new thing came out.
Kind of a gray area.
I think everything is on the table.
Yes,
really.
Yeah, and I mean it really is just like because like it's interesting, right? Because Lucas is he's a little bit younger than the rest of us. So like he's more of a 90s kid. So when we talk cartoons, he's like, well, do you guys remember Pirates of Dark Water? And I'm like, I vaguely remember that. And I vaguely remember SWAT Cats and
SWAT Cats, dude. Yeah.
And that was on Cartoon Network. But again, for me, I was like more into the later night, the Family Guys and the Futuramas and the, home movies and some of that stuff.
Samurai Pizza Cats.
Yeah.
You guys heard that one?
I remember that. Yeah.
It was just a horrible knockoff of Ninja Turtles.
Yeah. But there was
Samurai Pizza Cats.
Yeah, there was
dude, I gotta Google that. That's
you were like,
that
obvious,
so familiar.
obvious rip.
But like Street Sharks, Biker Mice from Mars. Yeah.
Biker Mice from Mars. There was another one, Street Shark-esque, but it was dinosaurs. I don't remember the name of it. I had the toys. I was all into that.
But So he's, kind of in that area. And of course I'm like a 70s, 80s, 90s, but like action figures, right? So like I'm obsessed with toys, always have been. And so like that's where like my kind of wheelhouse comes from. And then Scott, our bass player, he's a bit older. And so he's got a lot of like 70s references that we refer to in movies and stuff. And then our drummer Corey, he's like a big video game guy, but way like Atari, and like he has a big collection of like old school, like just about every playable console up until like
He's an interesting guy when you get into that stuff. Are you familiar with Atari ET game? Do you know like the lore behind that?
Yeah, kind of.
I'm not as he'll probably get mad at me because I'm sure I'll get some details wrong. But basically, a game that way back in the day they super hyped up, and then it came out and it sucked, and it almost single-handedly tanked the video game industry.
Yeah,
and it's like
the worst game of all time.
And it's like a game that's notoriously difficult to understand and all this stuff. And so Corey is he's a teacher, and this is, I got to give you a 2-second background. There's a trade school here in town for audio engineering that.
Oh, Crass?
Yes.
Yeah,
okay.
I went to Crass.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
When'd you go?
Shit, I can't even remember. It was like 3 or 4 years ago.
And you very well may have had Corey as an instructor.
It was during COVID.
Okay, so you would have been remote. So Corey's an instructor there. Eli was an instructor there. They were both my teacher when I went through in 2010.
Okay.
And then I was an instructor there. So we're multi-generational through that place.
Okay.
But anyways, when Corey was... no, I worked there when this happened. So Eli and Corey were a big part of the team that launched the broadcast curriculum there.
Okay.
And I did some cross-training in there. And he made it a point to stop class for a second because he got on a tangent about that ET video game. And he pulled it up on his computer and he went, "It's not that hard." And he sat there and he beat it in like 5 minutes. He's just that guy. And there was a legend with that game, kind of an urban legend where, well, they made so many because they thought it would sell, and then it tanked, and they buried them all in a landfill in New Mexico. And it was this thing, like there's millions of copies of that game buried in the desert. Well, it turned out to be true. And it was like this big thing in that kind of community. And he went, it was New Mexico, right? He went to New Mexico when they dug them out to get himself a copy out of the landfill because he's so in that world.
That's crazy.
And it's funny because, we were all, when the band started, I mean, we've been doing this for about a decade. And when the band originally started, it was Corey and myself, and then our bass player was also an instructor there named Zach. And then our guitar player was Mark Brisbane. Do you remember Mark?
Yeah.
When you went to school there? Yeah, Mark was our guitar player. And we just kind of started it as a band. And initially what our thought is we're going to do like instrumental, very like Galactic Empire, who we're opening for, but we're going to do instrumentals of, theme songs from movies and television shows and cartoons, and just do instrumentals. And so that's kind of where we started. And the very first thing that we started learning was the theme music from Back to the Future. And we spent a year workshopping that piece. And, we were working on some like covers of, we did like a cover of Cyndi Lauper, Goonies Are Good Enough. And we did a cover of Lindsey Buckingham, Holiday Road from National Lampoon's Vacation. Because at the time, we weren't writing original material. We were just like, hey, let's have a couple covers and let's work on these songs. And so, and then we started playing some shows and doing some different stuff. And then we ended up working, like I said, for a year on this Back to the Future, the theme music from like when everything's happening. And we played it live. We did a show and we played it live. And like everyone was just kind of like, there were a couple people that like recognized it, but everyone else was just sort of like, okay. They just noodled for a bunch of time. And so anyway, I had been at home and I was just riffing. I'd been listening to a lot of Def Leppard at the time. And so I was playing this riff and I was like, I'm going to write a song. And it was between Chewbacca or another side character, right? And I obviously I have a Battle Cat toy in my house, and I saw that and I was like, what if I write a song about Battle Cat, right? Not about He-Man, but about his, best friend, his steed, right? And so I remember writing this Battle Cat song and I brought it to practice, and I was like, hey guys, I wrote a song. And they were like, okay. And I was like, all right, let me play it for you. And I played a real rough version of it. And I was expecting them to be like, oh, that's cool, man. Whatever. That's all right. And instead it was more of they were like, dude, that's awesome. Like, and yeah, so that then we quickly pivoted and decided, instead of learning the theme song from Magnum PI and Knight Rider and, DuckTales and all these other songs that we were thinking about learning, now let's write original material. And then, we started playing, we were getting a lot of momentum, and then the pandemic happened, unfortunately. And so all the places that we were playing basically closed down. Mm-hmm. And then when we came back from the pandemic, our bass player had left the school and had gotten a new career. And so he was just like, yeah, man, my life's changed. I'm not really doing that. And so our bass player, Scott, and I, we used to go to the same church. And so we were both playing on the worship team there, and that's where we met. And we lived in the same neighborhood at the time. So I saw him walking his dog, and I was like, hey, dude, you ever thought about playing in a band? And we had talked about pop culture before, and he was just like, yeah, bring me some material. So I gave him a flash drive, and he joined us. And so we're doing that for probably about a year, and we're writing a lot of material and starting to get some gigs. And then Mark, our guitar player at the time, he had an opportunity to go to LA to work on some films and stuff. And so he was like, hey guys, I'm gonna quit and go do that. And then he left, and that didn't end up panning out for him. But Lucas and I work together now at a different place. And, he'd been talking, because we have a guitar at the office.
I would just sit in the office and play and be like, God, I need to be in a band, dude. Like, this sucks. I'm lonely.
Yeah, I want to play in a band. And so literally, Mark said, hey guys, I'm done. And then we had a quick band meeting with the three of us and like, well, do we quit or do we keep going? And I was like, well, let me ask Lucas, because, he knows pop culture and he knows how to play, and, we'll see how it works. And so I gave you a flash drive, I think, with like 6 or 7 songs, and we had a practice, and he had already memorized like 4 of them. And then like 2 practices later is when he brought the boomstick song.
It just all fell in place really quick. But like kind of going back to like saying you guys were doing those covers and you played them and people were like, oh, okay, what was that? That's an interesting challenge when you have a bunch of people who are very passionate about a specific thing, is you can get too specific and it becomes obscure.
Yep.
And that's where I found myself being the younger, and I don't have the memory or the care that like guys like him or Corey do to go like, oh, that guy plays this character and this character, and in this year it was this, and da-da-da-da. It's like, no. I'm very surface level on that stuff. So to go like, no, that's too weird. That's too out there. You're going to do it. Nobody's going to know what you're talking about, So like you asked, is there a break in like time frame for what we'd reference? No, but I think there's a break in depth. Right.
Yeah.
Like if we were going to do a Super Mario song and we did Rosalina, right? People be like, well, who's that? Who's that character, right? It's like, you can go too deep.
They're from Smash Bros.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And part of it too is like, like, I mean, there are some very obscure, characters in, the Star Wars universe, right? You know what I mean? And, or, in Ninja Turtle lore or wherever, right? Or even like say Marvel or whatever, DC, whoever. Or even, movies and shows. Like there's a 80s fantasy movie that was basically a critical flop, but I love the film called Krull. I don't know if you've ever seen Krull, Krull. Anyway, it was a movie that came after Star Wars, and, they tried really hard to, blend a world of fantasy and science fiction and, and it for, movie-going audiences, it just didn't really take off. But like for me, I love that film, but I wouldn't write a song about it because I think it's
I don't know what it is.
Yeah. And that's something we're finding is we're getting a little more traction, that we need to be cognizant of that, right? Like, we don't want to be a bunch of weird old guys on stage that people go, what are these guys talking about? Like, what is this?
You can hit more millennial subjects,
and
too,
though. I'm trying to.
Millennials are now adults.
Yeah,
so
it's, dude, the first show that we played, a bunch of our coworkers came out, and a lot of them were like early 20s, and more than one of them, my dad would love you guys. It's like, oh, God, okay.
Son of a bitch.
Actually, I pitched that as the name for the first EP. They weren't having it.
Our dad would love us. Yeah, it's funny because we called it episode 1, and then our second EP we called it episode 2. So we took a little bit of a freedom, liberty,
Yeah.
with naming it after Star Wars films. But yeah, it's interesting. Like, now having kids and them being into pop culture stuff, I've been exposed to like Demon Slayer, right, which is like a more modern day anime, fantastic, right? And then
pretty good.
Attack on Titan.
Main character
Attack on
cries
Titan,
too
yeah.
much. But
I've never seen it. I have seen Attack on Titan. I like Attack
the
on
action in Demon Slayers.
Titan. I gotta check it out. My nephew loves it. I need to jump into it.
It's yeah. It's just anything with like swords, I'm down. It's just so cool. But like into anime. But I've been tinkering around in my mind, writing a song about Minecraft because I played that.
Yeah.
I played
Dope.
that. Yeah, I see the Minecraft box on.
Yeah, I love Minecraft.
Yeah, that'd be a
I
good
mean,
one,
I'm
dude.
sick. I've been
Like,
playing that game with my kids.
I've played that since beta.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been playing that for 15 fucking years,
Yeah,
bro.
yeah.
Like he's played around with like Harry Potter. Like that's something a little more millennial that could be pulled in. And
About like Fable.
yeah, dude.
Make a song called Chicken Chaser.
Dude, they're toying with me on that. I love Fable, and they're there's going to be a new
coming
one
back, dude.
Last time
Coming
they did
back.
that, they pulled it away. I
Yeah,
want to be
and
a believer.
I saw gameplay footage for it.
Yeah.
They almost made it like too realistic. It looks almost like Baldur's Gate 3 or
interesting.
something. Like,
Okay, I
it
haven't-
looks like more realistic characters. And it's
they
like
gotta
I kind
stick
of like
with
the
that-
old
the
style,
cartoony sort of like
it's almost like Borderlands.
yeah. Dude, that'd be cool.
I don't know, we'll see. It's
Samurai
good, it's
Jack.
good.
A
Yeah,
Samurai Jack
yeah.
song has to happen.
Yeah.
And two, we tend to, and this is a product of 75% of the band being that Gen X. Most of our metal stuff dips into new metal because that's just kind of naturally what they listen to and play and all that. And then that leads to this kind of rap rock thing a lot. But I think Samurai Jack is like the perfect subject matter to do like the rap rock thing. It's got that hip hop intro and all that kind of stuff and that kind of, cyberpunk-esque feel to it. Yeah, dude, I think that could really work. So and that's one of the super fun things is, I've tried to do musical projects before and it's, I'm sad right now, so I'm going to write a song about that, or I'm going to pull on these real experiences. But it's really fun to just say like, no, I'm going to kind of steal from other people and like talk about how much I love this thing they created. Like that's just a really fun creative outlet because you get to celebrate things that you like while also like in a way being a part of it, right? In our very small little way that we enjoy,
Yeah, and it's fun too because I think like it comes back to the feeling of nostalgia, right? So you listen to one of our songs and it's like, oh yeah, I remember that scene, or I know that character, or that's a little bit of, that's a pretty deep cut reference, in that one line, like we have a coworker who had never seen Army of Darkness. And he's just like, I know, I like all of your songs, except that one I don't know anything about. And we're like, well, dude, you got to check out the movie. And then he
Made
watched
him
it.
watch it.
Yeah, and he really liked it. He thought it was. He's like, no, okay, now I get it. Oh, all right, I see what you guys did there, and stuff like that. So if it's something that can point people to, quality pop culture, franchises or movies or comics or whatever, that's cool too. And so for us, it's really a labor of love and something that we really have a good time and enjoy, writing and making music and whatnot. And when we don't take ourselves too seriously, it's not nothing about like
Nope. Dude, we don't even ask if gigs pay. You know what I mean? We're just doing it for fun.
that's cool.
It's at a point for all of us, careers, families, kids, all that kind of stuff. It's like, unless there was some incredible opportunity, like
Yeah, it would take too much to make it happen.
No, that's
like an issue a lot of people have in Phoenix specifically. Like it's hard to jumpstart anything in Phoenix.
Yeah.
Like people are here to work.
yeah.
That's about it.
You're too close to LA. All the people who are really trying to do it are just 6 hours away. Yeah,
There's multiple cities that are better for
Right,
that kind of
yeah.
thing. Like there's Nashville, like Austin,
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
But if we can get like to me, this opening for Psycho Stick and Galactic Empire, that's our sweet spot. I'm cool with that, dude.
That's pretty sweet. Dude. That is a pretty good build.
Like
dude.
if we
I
can
like
just
that.
open for these bands that are coming through town where people are like, oh yeah, I've heard of them. Like, yeah, perfect. Yeah, that'd be great. Let's have a fun thing to do once a month or something, and not trying to get too crazy with it. Although I think Psycho Stick is local though, but they're touring. So
Yeah. Yeah, and when we have a good time, playing shows, and it gives us an opportunity to be creative, and I think that for us is it's the outlet, right? Of just being able to like, let's put something together. Let's write a song. Like we're really close right now. We got a song about Terminator 2 Judgment Day, and it's just like really close to being pretty much there to start playing live and working on that. And it's enjoying, you know, that's one of the things. I mean, yeah, we've had the opportunity to play in some really cool local bands and some really, really talented groups, but we've also come across a couple of local bands that I won't mention any names, but they're difficult, you know, as far as, you know, working with them and things like that. And, you know, we're at a point, you know, having, you know, back in the day, you know, I was a touring engineer front of house for, you know, touring bands and stuff like that. And you get your fill of that real quick of, you know, bands that have drama or egos or, you know, find themselves, you know, think that they're much better than they really are, or, you know, or they are a fantastic band musically and they sound great and they play well, but like behind the scenes, they're very difficult to work with.
It's no etiquette.
Yeah, just no etiquette and just like, you know, egos and all that kind of stuff. And, you know, the bands that, you know, people remember are the ones that are, that have a good time and are humble and, you know, again, don't take themselves too serious. Right.
I think my favorite part of getting involved with this, though, surprisingly enough, isn't necessarily playing in the band. It's jumping into this scene and getting to meet the people and see these different bands. And like, I wouldn't have ever gone to a show at Palo Verde on a Thursday night or whatever it was, right? I would have been going home to get some sleep, but it's like, no, I got exposed to some stuff I wouldn't have otherwise. And like sitting here doing this and like that kind of thing. It's like, no, I love that, man. I feel like I'm getting involved in a community in the city as opposed to just kind of like floating and doing my own thing. And that's been a really enjoyable thing for me. I had all of our very little social media stuff and that too, just the networking and getting to talk to people and like, oh, what is this? I've never even heard of this. And it's cool, man. I love it.
Yeah, I personally kind of tired of social media.
I know it's with trying to do this and grow it just to that point.
I'm just really bad. I'm really bad with computers and like I'm really bad with like just communicating over texts and stuff like that and emails. Like I forget a lot. It's like, God, oh yeah, I got a text. I got that.
Yeah, and you know what? And it's a young people's game, right? You know what I mean? Like young people, like, you know, have sort of, you know, culturally, like that's how they've made relationships and communicated, is just this social media onslaught. There's people in my generation that are good at that. I just am not. I grew up with the internet, so there's people who are very good at that shit that are my age, and I miss that boat. Like, I don't know, I don't care about it, I guess. Well, and it's interesting, right? Because like
that's probably a good thing, frankly.
Well, that's why all my episodes are in person, face to face,
which like, I love, by the way.
I don't do any video episodes because I don't want to deal with it. For one, the technology is going to piss me off at some point. It's like, this is way easier to do.
Yeah, and it's easier to connect and have a conversation.
Yeah, exactly. The conversation's better when it's face to face.
Well, and you know, it's like everybody in the band sort of has like different roles, right? And so like Lucas is very much into the, you know, promotion, social media, that kind of stuff. I work more on the like merch side of it, right? You know, and you know, our bass player and our drummer, you know, they have different aspects of the band that they focus on and work with. And so, you know, we all sort of have our roles outside of, you know, what we play in the band, but, you know, everybody's contributing and bringing stuff.
And we're just kind of fortunate through life experience and stuff. So like, you know, we have the conservatory background, but then we also work for an AV company. So we have access to what we need to do it. And then
which company?
It's called AV Concepts.
AV Concepts?
Yeah. Claim to fame is the Tupac hologram at Coachella, you know, 15 years ago. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So you guys are doing like production AV.
Yeah, corporate AV for the most part. That's and then Scott works in IT, so he's like, I'll build a website. I don't know how to do that. You know, so it's just we kind of naturally have all these things. The one thing we need to learn is video editing, but I'm going to try to grab that bull by the horns.
Yeah, I do very simple video editing. I try to do everything in one take, then I just slap an intro and an outro at the end. Like,
I've started playing with CapCut, and it's a pain on the phone, and it's a free app, and it works for what it is, but it's trying to like zoom in on the phone and get it. No, I need like a half second shaved off. It is a pain in the ass.
Dude, I had an app on my phone. I did work for Arcanaut. That's what Innate One used to be.
Oh, okay, I was gonna say that name's familiar.
They started as Arcanaut, and I worked with them for a long time, like trying to help them with social media and merch and stuff like that. Yeah. And I used this program called Kino Master on the phone. And
sounds familiar.
For some reason, at one point, it like updated, and then they made it subscription only.
Man.
And the app was totally different. Like somebody bought the app out or something and changed it entirely. But when that original program came out, like I got it when it was new, and like everything was free on it. I could do anything I wanted. I was making like intros. Like the original podcast I did was called The Kevin and Spencer Show.
Okay.
And I made the whole intro on that, and it had like moving text and stuff.
Oh, that's right.
It was just literally like I was in the passenger seat on the way to a job site, like with my phone and my Samsung pen, just like doing video editing in the truck.
That's cool.
It's like, dude, that app was so sick, but you know, it gets corporatized.
Yeah, that's what it is. I've been told to try DaVinci Resolve.
Yeah, that's what I use for this show. Actually,
okay. It's free, right?
DaVinci's awesome. Dude.
Okay.
You can do a lot with it without paying anything.
Gotcha.
Like there's a whole bunch of features behind a paywall.
Mm-hmm.
Like I could do like AI captions.
Yeah.
It would give me a transcript of the whole episode, and then I could like put the captions in and just drag and drop them in.
Right.
And it'll have everything completely accurate. Well, probably like 99% accurate.
Sure.
But yeah, there's a bunch of stuff on DaVinci.
Dude, I tried doing that with one of our songs. We have a little Instagram clip. It's our one with like the most views, where it's our song about Predator. Mm-hmm. And the AI captions, when you're saying stuff like Yautja, like these made up fantasy words, I had to redo the whole thing, man. It was a total waste of time. What it did do, though, is get its gibberish at least in time. So that was helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I should have saved a copy of what it generated.
On the DaVinci one, you can actually like go to each word and change the text.
Oh,
that's wrong.
Cool. Yeah,
that's
so
cool.
you can like click on the word and like just change the text. You can like, you know, change the color or like add animations or whatever you wanted to it.
Yeah, I gotta start messing with that, because we're at the point now where it's like, well, what's next? You know, we're gonna work on another EP. It's like we need to do a music video and don't want to pay a bunch of money to do it. And
so for this show, I'm using OBS and DaVinci.
Okay.
So OBS is like a streaming software.
Gotcha.
But I use that because you can set up different scenes with cameras and stuff.
Okay.
So if you're ever working with cameras, like doing a practice session or whatever, you can actually have camera switching. So
cool.
like
Okay.
you can like set up multiple scenes for like different cameras, and then you just have like one button press, so you can like have it change scenes or something.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
So you could have like a face shot camera, and then like you know, like here we go, we're gonna start now, and then like hit one button, the recording keeps going, it just changes to camera 2.
That's we got it, and that's where
That one's free too.
We're spoiled with where we work because we've got access to cameras and switchers and all that stuff. It's just the time.
It's the time, yeah, and that's the one challenge of being in a band anytime is, you know, having to balance your career, your family, and then the band, or really the hobby, right? For us, and making, I mean, it is a priority for all of us, but we all know that, you know, for us, family comes first, and, you know, whatever, and, you know, everybody except our drummer, and we all have kids, and, you know, stuff like that. So, you know, that's also, you know, something that for us, you know, is making sure that, you know, we prioritize. But, you know, from my years of, you know, touring and then, you know, education and different stuff like that, you know, I know a lot of people who are in bands that are signed, and, you know, but very few of them, that's their, if any of them, that's their main income source, right? Everybody, like, you know, they either work and then save up their PTO to do mini tours or festival dates, or you know, stuff like that.
Yeah,
it's a different animal now than it once was, right? And you know, even like the studio, right? I mean, having spent all those years not only going to school but then touring and doing all that kind of stuff, you know, when it's time to record, we just convert my living room.
Dude, we did in his living room.
Yeah, we converted my living room into a recording studio.
Oh yeah,
and it pretty much sounds just as good. It you know.
Yeah, I mean,
you know, it was when I moved into that house, like the very first time I walked in, and I started clapping, and you know, and my wife was like, you know what I mean? And she's like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "Well, this would be a really good room to track in." I didn't realize that, you know, 10 years later we would be recording.
Yeah, that's
EPs
rare.
Yeah,
Most living rooms do not sound good.
No,
it's got really high ceilings, and
that's pretty cool.
The couch acts as a gobo, and
it worked really well. We did gang vocals in there, and then he's got a little
there's a
closet. That's the vocal booth. Which is not. I'm 6'7", and that closet's about 5 feet tall. So I was in there hunched down for my parts.
But it's we tracked it all, but then we sent it off to get mixed. Had somebody mix it from the outside, and that was that was actually a really great. One of the guys used to work at the school with us, so he did our first EP, and then he had some life changes and moved away, and then the second EP was mixed by the guy that I did my internship with. I just hit him up, 20 years later almost, and I just said, "Hey man, how are you?" He said, "Great." And I said, "Hey man, I'm in this band, and what would you charge to mix 6 songs?" And he's like, "This is how much I charge an hour." And I'm like, "That's the same as the other guy." It was a little bit more, but
not enough to matter.
Not enough to matter, but yeah, he's based in the Bay Area, San Francisco Bay Area, and he mixed it, and it sounded great. And so
which that's another thing that, like, now versus even 15 years ago, the fact that we very easily got it all done by a dude up in San Francisco, like all via email. Like man, I did recording and post-production out in LA, and even then they had runners for hard drives. They'd bring you these big, that was their job, running hard drives back and forth, and that was how you transferred all the stuff. So but now you can reach out to somebody 1,000 miles away and get it done. It's awesome.
Dropbox.
It's unbelievable. That was something we did when I was interning years ago. Was we were at FedEx every other day, FedExing hard drives,
brick hard drives, dude. Yeah.
And we would overnight them, right? And then the next day, the guy would get the hard drive, and he would call back and say, "Hey, I like this, but can we make changes on this?" And it's just, and now, like, well, even during the pandemic, right? Like, bands, like, everybody's in a different place, and they're tracking songs together, right? For things to keep people giving people hope, right? That we'll get through it, and here's a song that we did all remotely or whatever. It's a different animal. But like you said, man, there's nothing that replaces just having a face-to-face conversation or being in a room with a band that just brings energy, right? That's something for us, right? There's a lot of bands that we play with, and it's like, man, this is cool, but every once in a while, like a band will, like Innate One, for example, we had talked to those guys before, and we had tried to set up a couple gigs, and it just was always just, "Oh no, man, this guy's out of town," or "No, we can't do that gig," or whatever. But when we finally got a chance to play with those guys, when they hit their first notes, we were just like, "Whoa, this band is great." Really like playing with those guys, and
they need merch. I wanted to buy a shirt. They didn't have any.
I know. I just talked to him the other day about that. I was like, "You guys need merch. Just get your fucking name on a black shirt. It doesn't have to be anything crazy."
That's we just got our. Actually, I'm wearing it. We just got our next new round of it. Which that's somebody else I can shout out. Going back to comics, there's a local comic book artist named Austin Ackert. And he does all of our art. We've been going through him, and he's awesome.
Nice.
That's a dude to check out.
That's a really fun story. So Ninja Turtles is my favorite property ever, and that's what I collect the most of, as you can see on my shirt. But and there is a Ninja Turtle Get to the Chopper song coming, and people are like, "You have the logo, you have the turtle shirt, I know you love turtles. Where's it at?" And I'm working on it. It's just that one is so near and dear to my heart. It's like a child.
Nothing will be good enough.
No, and I'm working on it, and I have ideas, and I have my little sketchbooks of notes and lyrics that I'm thinking about, but I'm just waiting for the right song riff to come and the right chord progression to come. Funny enough, like, I was working on something, and I was like, "This might be my Ninja Turtle idea," and it's quickly morphing into, "This is my Minecraft idea." So that one's coming first, because I think it'll flow better. But that's coming. But Ninja Turtles is my favorite thing ever, and so there just happened to be like a weekend Comic-Con up in Glendale, and Kevin Eastman, the co-creator of Ninja Turtles, was going to be there, and they're like, "Come down, meet Kevin Eastman," and I was like, "Of course." And so I brought my kids with me, and I'm like, "We're going to go meet Kevin Eastman, co-creator of Ninja Turtles," and he ran Heavy Metal Magazine for a lot of years and a bunch of other stuff. So, I mean, just a great guy. And so went and met him, super cool, took some pictures with him. And and whatnot. And as I was walking out, I had my battle vest on, which is it's kind of funny because it's like half of it's pop culture references and the other half is music. And so I get a lot of comments about it, but
It is really cool.
It is
Like, it's a super cool battle vest.
Nice.
yeah. But anyway, I was walking out and he just mentioned, he's like, dude, I love your battle vest. And I just happened to say, cool, man, I saw your stuff in there. And I'd seen he had done some alternate Ninja Turtle, published Ninja Turtle comic front covers. And he's like, and I said, well, I'm in this band. And he's like, awesome, man. I sometimes do band artwork. And so I hit him up and I was like, dude, you got to message this guy, you know? And right away, it was just like we clicked. And he was like, you know, what are you thinking? And we were like, we want a Ninja Turtle playing a Rickenbacker 4003 bass, but make it super punk like. And, you know, he did a couple drafts and it was like, dude, this is going to be a shirt, like right away. And then we did another one, but this time we did a Yautja Predator theme with playing drums. And then he did one, it's Battle Cat, but he's like playing a guitar. But instead of being like, you know, like a steed or riding cat, he's just like anthropomorphic. So he's standing up playing a guitar. So we got that one. And then we're, you know, got another one on the way that we're working on. So yeah, but yeah, great guy, man. Super, super neat stuff. So it's been awesome working with him. So.
And I love that he's local.
Yeah.
I'm all
we're
about
big
it,
about
man.
that too. Is we like to work with our local community of bands, promoters, artists. You know, just because you know it's like you said, the community that we're part of and that we're trying to build, and that's a big part of it, right? It's just networking and meeting people.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do with this podcast.
Yeah, dude, it's
Just
super.
try to network with people. And
It's a cool idea. I like it a lot because that's one of the things you said when we first talked was, it's more about getting to know the artists, not so much like the band, right? And I think that's a great, you know, get to know the people behind it. Mm-hmm. It's a really cool thing.
And like sometimes people come on here, and I've had people come on here and talk for 2 hours about just the album that's coming out.
Sure, yeah.
And it's if that's what you want to talk about, that's fine. Like I'll talk about aliens and fucking pyramids, conspiracy theories. Like I'll even talk about religion and politics. I don't care.
Sure.
Like I'll talk about anything, man.
Yeah.
But I like to hear people's, like, you know, what kind of like drives you to even have a conversation about anything, you know? Yeah. So it's like whatever's interesting to other people, like that's what I want to get on the recordings. So
very cool.
But yeah, it's been fun to like meet different bands, different artists, and you know, I got to get some hip hop people on here. I've only I think my first episode was a guy who was a rapper, and it was from Crass. That's when I started this shit.
Okay.
So
Nice.
I started when I was going to Crass, and I was just getting people from my class. Like,
Sure,
in the
man.
first,
That's-
and like the first few episodes, they're not very good. They're pretty bad. But yeah, the first one, at least the first one was a cool guy. Like he's pretty interesting. He's from Florida.
Okay.
He's like this like skinny white guy rapper from Florida.
Sure.
But he was super cool.
Dude, that school, man, fantastic program. It gets so many interesting people through its doors. Like I was there for 6 years, and I think I met I don't want to name names or anything, but I mean everything from like this guy who unironically dressed like a pirate, like that was just his thing, like to a Berkeley graduate who just wanted to get more skill set. Like I mean, it just brings in such interesting people.
I was like one of the oldest guys in my class.
That's
Everyone there was like super young. They're like right out of high school.
Yeah.
And I was sitting there like, I'd already been through the Navy. I've worked all these construction jobs, and I'm like, I'm tired of this. I want to just do like audio.
For sure, yeah, dude.
And so I sat in that class, and everyone's super young. They're asking these questions. I'm like, oh my god. Sometimes, but it's like, you know, they're young, so they're like naive. They got to figure it out.
Yeah, they do. And I mean, it was
life,
a great opportunity. You know, it was a great school. To learn at. Yeah,
I think I went with like what I wanted to get out of like studying audio. I think the school is more focused in a different direction. So it's like really focused on like studio recording and like mixing and stuff.
Yeah.
And I wanted to do like live mixing, which I think the area in Crass for live mixing is like kind of lacking when I was going there.
Yeah, sure.
I don't know if that's because it was like a lot of it was remote. You just didn't get the practice in.
Yeah, the remote thing had to be tough, man. And that was, I left in 2017. But like that was the big draw with that school. Like even when I went as a student, not just working there, was you get your hands on stuff, right? Small classes, you get in there and you get to touch everything. Remote just would kill kind of its whole selling point.
There was definitely like a running joke in the class, like, oh yeah, this lesson could have been an email.
Oh,
you know?
gosh.
It's like, this lesson was kind of didn't make any sense. It was like the instructor just talking about who he worked with for the whole hour.
Oh,
You're like,
that's
okay.
Like, I think them, like most businesses during the pandemic, were just trying to figure it out, trying to survive.
And like I understood that. It wasn't against them. They were doing everything they could to make it the best they could. It's just
I'm very fortunate in a way. I worked for the government during the pandemic, so I was safe. I didn't have to worry about any of that. My life didn't change a whole lot, but when I went through, I was that guy. I wanted to go work in studios and work with rock stars, and I did a little bit of that in LA, and I hated it, dude.
Yeah,
I hated it. Egos.
I heard it's like a myth that the recording guy is like, part of the team. Like, kind of.
So like and again, I won't name names, but where I was at was a pretty prestigious recording studio. Like all the platinum records are hanging on the walls, and there's albums that I guarantee that were done there.
Yeah, sure.
And they brought in a very big name band, and it was like, all right, cool, we're gonna get to work on this. Like, no, they brought their own guy. It's like you got to help set stuff up, but you weren't in the room. Like they had their freelancer, their dude they trusted, and the whole thing, you felt very disposable, especially in the recording studio thing. It's like, well, if you don't want to play ball for minimum wage or whatever, there's 500 people outside that'll take your spot, so kick rocks. Post-production, I worked at a place that specialized in like reality TV and commercials. That felt a lot more stable, but still just, I didn't like LA, man. I said I was too Texas for LA.
I feel like most people are too Texas for LA.
But man, I'll tell you what, now it's not glamorous by any means, but corporate AV is steady. It's stable. It's like, I wish 20-year-old me would have realized this was a thing. I could have had a very different path, but it's all worked out.
When I went from Crass, I did a lot of my internship hours like while I was still going to school there.
Sure. Yeah.
My cousin's husband worked at the Orpheum Theater. He was like a production coordinator. Okay. So he's like pretty much running the whole production. Like it was him and this other guy, and they were trading off. And he was just super into audio. He did audio his whole life pretty much. Nice. He worked on like cruise ships and stuff like that. I actually had him on an episode to talk about it. But I went to work with him at the Orpheum Theater. And I was doing my internship hours, just helping out, fucking pulling cables and stuff like that. And just grunt work. And he's like, why don't you just get with the union? Like, get paid to do this. I was like, dude, why didn't I think of that? I was doing this for like 3 or 4 weeks before I realized, like, dude, I could just sign up with the union and go to work and get my intern hours. And so I started working with the union just in different theaters, do like Mesa Arts Center and, the Symphony Hall, stuff like that. I even did like convention center jobs, just rolling carpet.
And that's where we work in the Phoenix Convention Center. That's one of our primary locations. So I was like,
those jobs were pretty fun. Yeah, I would just bring my longboard to work, and then like at lunchtime, I would just ride over to Doghouse, just grab a corn dog, and just longboard around for lunch.
Are you still doing that kind of stuff?
No, I'm not, because the way the union was organized was pretty bad.
I couldn't work for the union. I hate working with the unions. I wouldn't want to be a part of it, but that's just me. That's my personal
what happened
thing.
to it, like the work itself was cool and I loved doing it, but it was just that like the scheduling was way off. I think the guy who was in charge of it was like in and out of the hospital at the time.
Ouch.
And so there was a lot of miscommunication, and it was like I didn't know if I had work tomorrow or not.
Oh, geez.
There was like a 24-hour period where they would just text you and be like, here, there's a show on this date and it's at this time, like, can you make it? And it would be tomorrow. And you're like, dude, that's like not even 24 hours away. It's like, then you have to say yes or no. And the more times you say no, they record how many times you say no to shows. So you're like, dude, I can't live like this.
Yeah.
Like
Need
waiting for my pay.
consistency.
Like, I don't know when my paycheck is coming. I don't know if I'm working, 5 days this week or 2.
Right.
And it's like, Jesus. So I had to get out of that and just go back to having a real job again.
What if you don't mind me asking, what are you doing?
Right now I'm installing security systems.
Okay.
So I just do was working at a data center the other day.
Okay.
Just putting up cameras and card readers and stuff.
Gotcha.
Super easy work.
Yeah.
You're on a construction site though, so the summer sucks.
I bet. Yeah.
I don't know. You make good money, make decent money, but yeah. Eventually, I want to just make money with this podcast. That'd be the
Heck
best.
yeah, dude. That'd
Sure,
be
dude.
awesome.
Like
Yeah.
just talking to people. That's what I really love to do. I don't like doing construction. I'm just good at it.
Well, talking about building community, that's something that, with a lot of the local groups and people that we're getting connected with, we'll send them your way. And,
Yeah,
'cause,
absolutely. I'm always looking for new guests too.
yeah, man, we know some hip hop dudes that we work with that, would love to talk about the projects that they work on and, different cats. So
Anything else too?
for sure.
Yeah, dude. Just conversations.
I don't
man.
want to talk about music just every episode.
Yeah, no.
Mix it up.
It's fun to just go off the rails.
Yeah, for sure.
There's this one guy I had on who would not talk about his band. He just refused. Every time I bring it up, he'd give me like a one-word answer and just bring up some random TV show or something. Like he just didn't refuse to talk about the band.
That's hilarious.
I thought it was funny. He's
That's
just being an
great, dude.
asshole on purpose. But
Wow.
yeah, that was fucking Rob from Thraw.
Okay.
Thraw is just a super heavy band, and they've been doing tours like out of the country and shit.
Wow, that's cool.
They've been doing, I think they just did a tour in like Europe.
Wow.
Like they're really making it. Like those guys are.
Heck yeah, dude.
Those guys are sick.
That's cool.
Yeah, that was a funny episode.
Yeah. Now what's been eye opening for us, I think, is just the sheer level of talent of bands that are local.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, there's some really, really good bands in town. There's also some that aren't so good. And we've seen that as well.
That's going to be everywhere, man. Everywhere.
But you know what? The fact that, people are out there writing songs and getting together and making music, you know what I mean? I love it. You know what I mean? I think it's great. And, they're going for it. You know what I mean? And, I think if I were to look back at some of the projects I've been involved with in my youth and, I'm sure we sucked bad, but, there were still people there that were like, man, you guys are great. I love what you're doing, so, but yeah, doing it now, it's like, especially, in regards to just, nerdy stuff, it's fun and we have a really good time doing it. We love it for sure.
Yeah, there's a local band called Born of Ash.
I've seen their name.
Yes,
Yeah.
sounds
Yeah,
real
Born of Ash. It's all about Dark Souls.
Oh, hell yeah. Okay. Now we're
Yeah,
talking.
they're like a Neversoft themed band.
Oh,
pretty
oh,
much.
that's
They have like
cool.
Elden Ring songs and stuff.
Born of
Nice.
Okay, I'm gonna have to reach out
Yeah,
to
Born
them.
of Ash,
That's
those
on
guys are
brand,
good.
all right? Because I thought about doing a Dark Souls. I love Dark Souls, dude. Anything in that like gothic,
you
dark.
you probably recognize a lot of their songs.
Okay.
They have one like "Hail the Sun."
Hell yeah, dude.
You know.
That's
Yeah, they try to get the crowd involved.
That's
Like,
fun, dude.
chanting "Hail the Sun."
Yeah,
it's pretty
cool.
good. Those
That's
guys are
very
good.
cool.
all right. Yeah, I will follow them and reach out because that would be Are they like heavy?
Yeah, they're pretty
Okay.
heavy. I mean, they have some screamy parts, but they have some clean vocals
Okay.
too. But their guitars are super heavy and it's loud. But
Heck yeah, man.
yeah, it's like easier to listen to. It's not like grindcore, sure. Sure. But
Yeah, dude. I just stumbled across another local group called No Beach.
no beach.
I'm trying to link up with these guys for a show. I think their Instagram called it like coastless surf rock or something. But dude, it's like,
It's really cool.
I think I've listened to their album like 5 times. It's like country western surf rock. I've just never heard anything like
It's
it.
like rockabilly.
Kind
of. Yeah,
I don't know,
You'll have to
man.
check it out. It's hard to sort of like,
Yeah, it's hard to describe.
because it's not like anything that you've heard before, but it's super cool.
And like I said
Very
earlier,
cool.
like that's what I go, I've never heard anything like this. That really just lodges itself in my brain, and I want to just put it on repeat for a day.
I stumbled across this band because I was listening to The Sword. We were talking about them earlier, but just their style and their songs are about like fantasy stuff and, you know, witches and
They do like Game of Thrones. They do some IPs.
yeah. But anyway, I was listening to this sword
yeah.
and this band out of Montreal came up called Sons of Arrakis. And I've been listening to their stuff. It's very cool. Just super, super rad. They don't look too active on social media since like...
Is it like Dune? Like Dune?
Yeah,
themed?
yeah, Dune themed.
They're
Yeah,
Nice.
dude.
That's
yeah,
cool.
you should check it out. Yeah, Sons of Arrakis.
Yeah, I'm like right in the middle of that book.
Yeah.
Trying to get
Yeah,
through
it's-
Dune.
I have had
there's
that book on my nightstand for like 3 years, and I haven't started it. I need to. I know I'd like it, but
Yeah, Corey, our drummer.
It's really dense.
Yeah.
It's just a lot of information on every page.
Dude, more-
So it's like,
I tend to do audiobooks now more than because I have a long commute, so I just kick on audiobooks
Yeah.
and listen to them.
Our
Or
drummer.
podcasts, actually, funny enough. So
Yeah, I listen to a lot of podcasts.
I got 53 episodes to listen to now. That's-
oh jeez. You could probably skip the first 10, dude.
Our drummer Corey, he's a big Dune guy. His network for internet at his house is House Atreides. So yeah, it's awesome.
Nice.
Yeah.
I don't know. I could start another fight. I saw this.
Man, I'm ganged up on you guys. Have called me twice.
Harry Potter.
Harry Potter.
Harry Potter. Whole plot could have been avoided with physical violence.
I saw that comedy that you.
I've had that thought for years, dude, and that guy's right. He's right. Do you know the story of Harry Potter?
I mean, loosely.
I mean, it's in I sent Eli a thing of the stand-up comedian saying it, but like, dude, I've had this thought for years. I'm like, if they just used guns, like, would have been over pretty fast. But the whole thing is, the main bad guy, Voldemort, tries to kill baby Harry, and he can't because he's protected by the power of love. And this comedian's like, it's a baby. Just punch it.
Yeah, right.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I am. It's funny because everybody like picks their house, and I am Slytherin, and that's the dark house. But the guy who created it was called Salazar Slytherin, and that's my last name. So that's my home. I'm a Slytherin through and through.
I just like snakes.
Yeah.
I'm a muggle, dude.
There, dude, that's the best answer I think
I'm
I've
the guy
ever
with
heard
the
to
gun.
that.
There you go. Nice.
That'll make
My
somebody
house is the
upset.
Second Amendment.
There you go.
Nice.
Well,
I think, I think we're, man, this has been, thanks for having us, man. This has been really
yeah,
fun,
absolutely.
dude.
Yeah, I was trying to get you guys on for a while.
dude,
Yeah.
Kind of life got kind of crazy.
Yeah.
insane.
Yeah.
Like the fall for us with our work is just bonkers.
Yeah.
Bonkers.
Wow.
That's
Yeah,
when
actually
everybody wants to
recently
do stuff in Phoenix.
Just got
right?
a new job, so that's kind of why I had to take a little bit of time after that show. So I was like trying to get a new job. Like I was working at a really interesting company.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't need to say too much about it, but it was AV. I was doing like conference rooms and stuff like
okay.
that. But it was AV, but on the commercial side where it's like, you know,
Like install stuff. And
Yeah.
yeah. I bet I can guess.
and it's just a lot of equipment
Yeah.
that none of it talks to each other very well. And so, there's always infighting in the company. Like, whose fault is it? How does this not work right now? It's like nothing ever works first try.
Yeah.
So,
Or sometimes it will work and then you'll leave and come back and all of a sudden it's just not
not
working.
working, yeah.
Gremlins.
it happens every time.
Yeah.
Programmers always find something to blame you for. It's like, but anyways, it's great to have you guys on.
Hey, man, thanks for
Yeah,
having
man.
us. This is
Yeah.
a blast.
Yeah, like I said, 2026, we're working on a new EP, so hopefully that'll be out maybe end of year. So yeah, writing and working on that, and then just plenty of shows coming up. We got 4 booked right now, but the big one is that February 27th show with opening for Galactic
Awesome,
Empire
dude.
Psycho Stick.
It's almost my birthday.
Yeah,
There
man.
you go.
It's actually a couple years away from my birthday, but I was born on the 29th.
Oh, nice,
there you go.
dude.
Nice.
Pretty close.
Nice.
I'll check it out.
You're a leap
Heck
year,
yeah, dude.
so you're like 7, right?
8.
8.
Yeah, 8 and some change.
Yeah. Nice.
But yeah,
Awesome. Cool, man. Well, thanks for having us.
Dude.
All right, see you.